Hello, my name is Prime and welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and today we are going to be doing something new for the channel, and in fact something I want to make more of an annual tradition here on the Prime Simulation channel, that being completing the longest delivery possible here in American Truck Simulator. Now when I first had this idea, my immediate thought became, what truck am I going to use for this delivery? And after some careful consideration, I have landed on this 5th gen Freightliner Cascadia, and will be using an ownable reefer trailer as well, as our delivery is going to take us from down here in Brownsville, Texas, and we're going to head all the way up to Bellingham, Washington, hauling this packaged food, which is just over 2,500 miles here in American Truck Simulator, and in terms of in-game time, will take just under 45 hours. Now, of course, I cannot do that all in one go, as that would take many hours in real life, so we're going to break it up over multiple episodes, 5 episodes to be exact, with the first leg today, of course, starting down here in Brownsville, and we're going to head up to Fort Stockton today, traveling about 600 miles here in Texas and just under 10 hours of in-game time. So I think this is going to be very interesting, and I think we should get on the road because we have many miles to cover before the sun goes down. All right, let's get rolling. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I certainly am, and buckle in, friends. This is going to be a delivery and a half, even in terms of part 1 here today for the longest delivery available in American Truck Simulator here in 2025, at least as of August 2025 here in ATS. What an incredible journey this is going to be, and one that, yes, is going to take multiple episodes. And so the episode structure, I'm just going to talk about that here now because, well, we've got some time today. The episode structure is going to be like this. It's going to be similar to ATS showcases, so I'm not going to pre-record these things in terms of, well, many days in advance and have them back-to-back and just going through. We're going to talk about various things on American Truck Simulator, other games alike, the channel, all those great good things. However, it's just going to be one continuous delivery going between, well, our starting point here in Brownsville, and we're going to head up to truck stops along each way. Some of the more major ones, at least in terms of, well, where I could find a decent sized truck stop that would have rest station, in terms of gas as well, and even potentially service as well, just because we don't exactly know what's going to go on here across this delivery. If we need servicing, well, we've got to get it done, because unlike traditional ATS showcases where it's just point A to point B, and I can do servicing and fueling and so on either side of the delivery, we're not going to be able to do that today because this trusty Freightliner Cascadia, well, it can't go 2,500 miles on a single tank of diesel. Or, for that matter, the diesel exhaust fluid will probably have to be topped up somewhere along the line as well. Either way, it's going to be an incredible journey. Let's buckle in and get chatting. So actually, first order of business here is I've got to get over to the next lane, and we're going to try and get cruising at a decent speed here to keep things moving along, because obviously this leg here, the first one going across Texas, which we don't actually leave Texas either, which of course shows the scale of the state itself, is about 10 hours in-game. And for those who may want to know a little bit of a Prime Simulation trade secret here with my showcase series, generally speaking, and this isn't a perfect formula, but it's what I generally aim for, most of my deliveries that happen in the showcase series have a target time slot of anywhere between 3 hours and 5 hours of in-game time. So that brings us to the more standard, around 20-minute or even potentially longer if things go, long in terms of there being lots of turns and so on, or if there's issues along the way or I crash or something along those lines. It brings it into a nice balanced length that, generally speaking, is really well received across the community and makes it, I'm going to be honest, a little bit easier to make sure that commentary and so on can just kind of flow a little bit more naturally, and of course topics can kind of round out and so on without it being cut off too early. So it's a difficult balance to try and find at times, but that's generally what we go for. This is going to be very different, and of course in years to come this is going to be very interesting and intriguing to see how, well, I decide to do it on the timings. But for the first leg here, and for many of the legs across this long-haul series here for 2025, they're going to be about the 9 to 10 hour GPS legs here until the final leg, which will be a little bit more around the normal lengths of an ATS showcase, for example, a video that I do here on Prime Simulation. They're going to be longer, so that's, even on the longer end of the showcase series, about twice as long in terms of time. So it's going to be, I'm not going to lie, a fun challenge for myself in terms of commentary, because yes, I will take breaks, I'm sure, especially in upcoming episodes, depending on what topics we're talking about. I'm going to, of course, take breaks. Will they be for, a few minutes at a time? I don't really know, to be honest with you. We're going to have to just cross that bridge when we get there, but it's going to be a fun challenge, and I'm up for it. Hopefully you are up for it as well, and by all means, if you want to put this on in the background and listen away to a little bit of the podcast style, I know a lot of you do that as well, by all means. But for those who are going to watch all the way through, first of all, thank you, and second of all, once again, buckle in, because we've got a lot of fun times and a lot of fun miles ahead of us here in ATS. So first of all, a little bit of an order of business here. You may have noticed that the intro was a little bit condensed. Well, that is because we've got some time to dispose of here today, my friends, in terms of highway cruising, and we are going to take advantage of that. So what you're hearing today, and what you will hear across this multi-part series, or 5-part series to be exact, is the engine and transmission compilation mod. The go-to standard, the gold standard, shall I say, here on Prime Simulation for engine sounds, and of course the transmissions alike. It's just a fantastic free plug-and-play mod on the Steam Workshop. Highly popular. For those who've been around here a while, you know I nearly live and die by this mod. There are many other great engine mods, especially by Slapjerry, that I cover quite a bit. Again, they're free, safe, easy to download and install on the Steam Workshop, no sketchy websites and so on. The engine transmission mod, which makes it very much unique, is that 98% of the engines and transmissions within it are just plug and play, if not actually 100% of it. So that being, I didn't have to select a particular engine from that mod pack for this Freightliner Cascadia. In fact, I actually configured this truck when I did not even have that mod installed in the profile. The engine and transmission compilation mod, what it does is it overwrites the sound profiles for each of the respective engines, replacing the stock engine options with mod versions, which makes it very user-friendly, I must say. And then if you decide to uninstall the mod, it doesn't affect your truck. The sound or the engine just reverts to its basically default state, and you're good to go. There is no extra complications there. It is all just good sounding equipment, and I mean, it just makes it a little bit more realistic. And we have to pull in here to the way station, first one of the trip. We'll see how many actually we have to do across this episode, across these episodes. And you know what? I'm going to leave that actually up to you. So down in the comments below, for those who love to interact all the time, which once again, thank you for doing that. I appreciate all the love and support here on the channel. Why don't you go ahead, and we're going to just go through this lane, I guess. It doesn't really matter which one. I could have gone to the other one, but we committed here, so we're going to do so. Actually, no, we can't, because that goes the other way, doesn't it? Well, we're doing the right thing then. And there we go. We can go ahead. What did it say for our message? This chat. It decided to clear on me. Oh, well, we must be within legal weight. We're not hauling that much. I will admit, we're not hauling that much weight. I think it's about 35,000 pounds or something like that. So decent enough, but this Freightliner Cascadia has plenty of power to handle it. I'm not concerned about that. Anyways, this mod, absolutely fantastic. Paired with the truck just makes it more realistic overall. I just use this mod all the time, and I love it. You know that, all that stuff. But anyways, what I was gonna say, besides the sidetracked of multiple sidetracks, and we'll see how many times that. Oh, weird popping of the world there. I don't know if you noticed that, but that's okay. We'll just move on. Comment down below, how many times did someone keep track of all the different stats for this long haul series, whether that's, you know, the different way stations that we go to, so on, or if you want to even pick out some different phrasing that I may say across the episodes, if you so dare to try and keep track of that. Have some fun with this series, okay? We're gonna just have some fun once again with this long haul series and see how things go. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts on it as well. Of course, across these episodes, there may be some things that are similar in terms of what I talk about. I think maybe you can understand that, but we're gonna just try and keep it diverse, or I'm gonna try and keep that as diverse as possible. And we've got plenty of topics to talk about. I can definitely come up with a few things as well. So also comment down below if you wanted me to talk about something in particular in the episodes to come, because as I mentioned earlier, I am not pre-recording these episodes. They will be coming out only a day or two before their launch, and my initial plan is, of course, if you're watching this upon video release, you're watching this on a Saturday, and hopefully your Saturday is going well. And then my Wednesday's more standard upload, if I can manage to do that generally, will also be one of these long haul series, and then the Saturday upload as well. And then I will be doing my very best to throw in ETS2 content and other content alike on some of the other days around this. So the idea is that in a couple weeks time, this series will be wrapped up, or in a week or so time. This will be done. The 5 episodes will be complete. So it gives you time to at least interact. I want to, once again, hear about your thoughts, what you want to hear me discuss, maybe debate or talk about. I want your input on that. We've got plenty of time to do so. And of course, it then allows a little bit more of a natural break, and it's not just shotgun. One day after another, I feel like that could get incredibly repetitive. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. This is the first time I'm doing this, so maybe in the years to come, the format will change. But once again, comment down below your whole thoughts. Feel free to track things as much as you can. Let's have a little bit of fun with this series. So I need to get over here. No one's over in that lane, so that is fantastic. And we've got some news to talk about. And talking about, well, not recording things early, this is where the benefit comes in about the newest news here on the ATS world, or in the ATS world, shall I say. The Crone Agricultural Equipment DLC is in development for both ATS and ETS2. For those who may not have seen the community post I did just the other day, SES Software confirmed that they are developing, or in, I would say, mid to late stages of development, of the Crone Agricultural Equipment DLC that will be releasing both for American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator 2. Now, these DLCs, as it's listed within Steam, are separate DLCs, similar to, let's say, the JCB equipment pack, Volvo equipment pack, so on, that are separate DLCs technically, but are, well, basically the same content between the two. They are separate DLCs, and the DLC in general will bring in 7 brand new cargo types for each game respectively, and of course some extra accessories to kind of sprinkle in for our trucks, so different just, I think, mugs and hats and so on. There'll be more details on this in the future. However, that will basically translate across to whatever game you run on. So the main cargo types are going to be the same, but from what the blog post detailed is that the particular model numbers of a few of the implements or pieces of equipment will be slightly different based off of the North American or European counterpart. Now, I am going to be honest, I sure hope that, like some of the other cargo DLCs we've had released at the same time for both ATS and ETS2, there will be a specific bundle available for those who own both American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator 2 to be able to basically buy the DLC once and get it free for the other game. I do appreciate when that is the case, and I sure hope that can continue. And we've got to pull in again for the way station. How many here in Texas are we gonna have to do, friends? Well, this may be the story of our delivery, our quite literally cross-map expedition here in American Truck Simulator. Maybe the story of visiting every single possible way station that we come across on the highway networks. Which I guess is a little bit of trucker life for any of you who do this in real life, and I must commend you for both your patience for traffic and how people drive in real life, and also for what you do in the logistics network in general, and the crucial job that you serve. I mean, I would get many goods without you, and I do appreciate that greatly, albeit I don't know, I'm going to be honest with you, if in real life I could take up that profession. I don't know if that would completely match maybe my skill set or personality type, but I do greatly appreciate doing it here in the sim and creating content for you along with it. We're going to try and merge on here in that. It looks like a Lincoln SUV can slow down or merge over if they want to go, because we've got some ground to cover. We need the momentum all we can get. Anyways, the Crone agricultural or farm equipment, whatever I'll end up calling it, but it's formerly the agricultural equipment DLC, the Crone version of it. It's going to be good, and I sure hope that there is a combo for the people who own both games. And if you don't own both games, well, then it really doesn't matter. Hopefully there is still a bundle, because we always like things on sale or at a reduced price, especially something like a cargo pack. I am always happy to see cargo packs and so on, extra customizations and extensions coming to both respective games, but specifically here on American Truck Simulator. Having branded cargo packs is always amazing. I love to see it. Crone is a big brand. Is it maybe bigger in Europe? I don't know. Maybe that's just a little... I personally would say they're bigger in Europe, but I'm never going to complain, because Crone does exist here in North America, and they do play a vital role in the farming industry here as well. So either way, fantastic DLC that is in development. Yes, it is not released yet. Sometimes SEO software will just drop it out of the blue. It's there, ready to download, you're good to go. Not the case here with the Crone DLC. They are introducing it in terms of a development feature, and my wheel just decided to not turn there until it decided to turn there. That's okay though. It's in development. When it will be releasing, I do not know. I sure hope it's sooner than later, but again, I have absolutely no clue when that will be. Will it be in a couple weeks' time? Will it be in a month? Will it be in 3 months' time? I guess we will just have to find out now, won't we? So let's go ahead over here. We need to be heading towards El Paso. Slow down a little bit there, Prime. Yeah, we're taking the 10 west. We are heading northwest for the entirety of this delivery from, well, where we're going, up to Bellingham, and of course, just the general networks and how things switch back. Maybe when we hit some more of the mountainous areas, we may have to kind of do some switchbacks. I'm not quite sure how the GPS is exactly going to take us through there, but I do have, I guess, the map kind of pinned in some of the key locations. So unless if we hit a detour, which by the way, or a fun fact, there we go, a little bit of a cross between what the brain wanted to do. Fun fact, they are enabled here. Road events and detours are technically enabled in the save. Do I have them high? No, especially not detours, because it's, although detours and so on do happen, I wouldn't say that the ones that would be here in ATS happen overly frequently. So I haven't gone too well, extreme with it, shall I say. I have definitely taken a little bit of creative liberty there to just pull it down a little bit, but they are there. So there is a risk that we could get a detour that would take us off route, and then we got to figure it out from there. So some of these episodes, I don't know how long it's going to be, honestly. We're going to just have to figure that one out together. I'm assuming our episodes here, for the majority of them, will be around the hour mark. Could be longer, could be a bit shorter. Of course, we are running in a highway infrastructure here for pretty much the entire delivery. So, with that said, there very much could be a possibility. We're going to try and go by this guy here. He's not going to go very quick. I know we're going a little bit faster, but we can cruise along here. An extra 5 miles an hour over shouldn't be the end of the world. And actually, the speed limit just went up, so we are fine. It's not the end of the world. What are you doing, SUV? Thank you. You got over and then you came back when I needed to merge over. I appreciate that so greatly. It's just going to be interesting to see how everything goes, to say the least, and well, we'll go from there. Now, in terms of the other things happening here around the channel, obviously this series is brand new, and so this is a concept I came up with a little while ago, and it was actually one that I was trying to decide how, based off of your feedback for wanting longer deliveries or more long hauls and so on, how could I implement it in a way that I haven't really seen too many people do and make it more of a series that could be, well, more continual moving forward. And of course, we could always do different long deliveries that don't have to be the longest one, but I wanted to add a bit of a challenge aspect to it, of course, both personally for how I'm going to deliver these videos to you, but then also in terms of the delivery itself, I wanted something of significant scale. Now, based off of your feedback and some of the comments and when I've asked the question to you and what kind of content you'd like, I've received various messages and, of course, comments alike saying, please do more long haul, we'd love to see this and that. Well, here you are, my friends. We are finally here with some long haul content, and this is what I was able to come up with. Doing something like this long haul content that is a multi-part longest delivery for each year. And so the idea is that moving forward, probably around this time of year, every year moving forward, or at least for the foreseeable future, I will do one of these longest deliveries in American Truck Simulator, whatever year it may be. And as the map grows, the idea is that we'll be able to go back through the various episodes and be able to see how just the delivery has changed, and or how the states, for that matter, have changed in the future as well, with various overhauls and reworks and so on that have done, plus just new DLCs that will come out as well. It is going to be extremely entertaining to see how things progress, and I just want to do something that's a little bit different. This long haul series, I think, is going to be a fantastic one. Let me know once again what you think about this whole concept, and of course, by the end of the 5 episodes here for 2025 on American Truck Simulator, I'll want to know your honest thoughts of how were the videos delivered in your view. Did you enjoy it? Would you like to see something different moving forward? And we'll go from there. The general community consensus will definitely drive how I make these videos moving forward in future years, but it isn't just probably going to be limited to American Truck Simulator as well. The odds of it creeping into Euro Truck Simulator 2 is extremely high, and to be honest with you, more than likely. And as this video and multi-video series progresses, this is where I'm going to be posing that question, and I may even do a community poll, to be honest with you, on YouTube in the community tab of the Prime Simulation channel. I may do a bit of a poll just to see what everyone thinks, and once again, get your honest thoughts. Will this series become something that we do more frequently than just annual? I don't know. Will I do more longer hauls? Maybe even just a 2-part series that isn't, you know, as long? Probably yes. And will that be more just a standard ATS showcase? More than likely. For this series, again, I'm trying something a little bit different. I don't want to just hold in the same pattern that I do that always works. And there's something happening up here. Looks like a bit of an accident. We got to get over it. that AI just pulled in behind for whatever reason. So don't know what his thoughts were. Hopefully everyone's okay. They seem okay. Just a little bit of ribbons racing if they were on a track. Although they're not. Still the general idea. Classic AI at its best. So anyways, it's going to be very interesting to see how this series progresses, of course. And this also leads into some of the new things coming for the channel. There are many things, absolutely many things, that I am just reviewing final versions, and then they will be released. I've talked about it in previous episodes, but I will mention it here again. The Prime Simulation Discord is going to be receiving a huge ground up overhaul and a little bit of a cleanup as well in terms of membership that, well, there are some bots that were technically in the members list, not active, but unconfirmed people, shall we say. We're going to do a bit of a cleanup, and that plays into the whole structure of the Discord. So for those who are a member of the Prime Simulation Discord, if you're not, check it out. Link is down in the description below. It is quite honestly a dead server. Not on the people within that server. I'm not putting the onus on you if you are a member of it. This is on me. I very rarely, and for honestly probably a year and a half or two, haven't even talked about the Discord server, and I think the main reason for that is because besides being busy with other things, admittedly, I didn't really have a clear vision on what the server should be and what purpose in the community it should serve. Obviously, there were many people still having little discussions here and there, or sharing some images or whatever. Absolutely fantastic. I love that people were trying and doing their due diligence, because I was not, and I will fully take that blame on myself. So moving forward, the Prime Simulation server, to which I have designed in a different server, and got some things kind of ironed out and have a solid plan. I'm now at the point where in a very short period of time, the Prime Simulation server will kind of go into maintenance mode. It will be essentially locked down. You will still be able to join it and so on, but you won't see anything. But there will be a post in there kind of detailing what's going on, and I may even bring that over to YouTube as well, just to kind of bring awareness of what's going on, or maybe I'll just do it when it fully launches, but I do not know that one. Either way, full overhaul, countless new channels, better structure and organizations, and a more centered, more centralized approach to, shall I say, what it's supposed to be at its core. What that server moving forward for this community will be, and I'm very, very excited with what came up. There was a few actually suggestions directly messaged to me on what could be really handy, and also quite a bit of personal input on myself on what I receive for questions all the time in terms of American Truck Simulator, Euro Truck Simulator 2, other games, and so on. What are always the questions? What do people always want to see? And what is really needed? What is a gap that is in the best community ever from SCS Software? What is in this community that there's a gap in terms of whatever it may be that this community already kind of has been serving a little bit of, but just needs a central home for? That's what I've identified, and that is what I'm proud to say is coming very soon to the Prime Simulation Discord, and I feel that it will be revolutionary for, of course, the channel in that server and your engagement with others that share common interests, but also for the broader scale community of the games. I think it's going to be very, very big. I think it's going to be crucial and set up the Discord and this channel to move forward in the direction that I've always wanted it to, and just be more up to the quality as well, to be honest, that I now live, run, and move by. That is my goal. that is my goal at the end of the day, and there's a few other things that are going to be changing as well, little updates here and there, and some extra clarity and transparency. If you don't think I'm transparent enough, if I don't yabber away on enough different topics and be honest with you enough, well, I'm going to be even more honest with you, printed-wise, in the coming, well, probably months or even less than that now, probably even weeks, to be honest with you. There's a lot that's just going to happen, and the whole point of that is to set this channel up with what I've always had in mind, now that I have the capacity to do so, or at least some. What I've always had in mind, set it up for the utmost potential for success. That has always been my goal, and I want to make it easier for you and me as well to manage things moving forward. Having an online community, I've learned this the hard way, is not easy. Some of you may think, well, Prime, you just make videos and people watch it and that's that. That is very true. You're not wrong. But at the same point, there is a legitimate business, albeit I'm not full-time at it, behind this operation. I am a one-man show. Don't get me wrong on that. There is no other people influencing the content I make, well, besides you when you give me feedback, or if you want to see something and I add it into a content list. But there are processes and there are things behind it that moving forward I want to make sure that Prime Simulation is both a huge community and family that it has become. I want to make sure that that family has a safe space moving forward, and one that really eliminates a lot of potential for, shall I say, twisting of views or all this other online gossip or stuff that could occur and could very well still occur. That nothing that I really can do can stop everything. But I want to just make things clear, make sure my position is known, make sure things are updated as well, because some things haven't been updated for many years now. I just want to make sure as Prime Simulation, in terms of the channel, the business continues to grow, and I grow as a person, the foundation is improved. Simple as that. You can't build a home, or in this case, a massive apartment building holding millions of people now, or at least thousands in terms of subscribers and followers across the various, across the various platforms. It is simply not possible to have that big a building on an aging foundation. That foundation that's potentially crumbling away, or at very least just not what it should be rated for what's above it, needs to be updated. And that's what some of those things are. Are they going to be major features? No, maybe not to everyone. The Discord is probably one of the biggest ones, to be completely honest with you. Some of the other ones are kind of nice to have, but they will definitely help. Then the strength of the foundation will then move all the way up through the building, and that is my goal. And that's kind of the analogy that I'm thinking of kind of on the spot, which you're going to get a lot of in these videos to come with this long haul series. And we've got to get off here because we are approaching Fort Stockton, or actually we're just by it, and this is where our first rest stop for the night is here. 7 o'clock in the evening. We gotta have some dinner. We gotta refuel as well. This Cascadia burned about half a tank because it was just below full when we started out. Not too bad. So we could actually do about probably a good 1,100 miles on a full tank here, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. So let's go ahead here. Gonna head into the middle here. Actually, we'll go up to this second entrance here where the truck entrance is and parking. Let's go ahead and cross over. We're gonna refuel, and then we're gonna park up in a rest point and call it a day here for this first leg of the long haul delivery. So let's go ahead and shut off this Cascadia and refuel the truck. Gonna get, there we go, the window open because I forgot to put the automatic pop-up back on, because typical Prime Simulation things, but that's okay. $366 of fuel. 114 gallons burned, or at least filled at very least. Not too shabby. Let's go ahead and start the truck back up. And let's pull into a spot. Don't really know where I should park today. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. Maybe we'll, let's park over here. Let's back into one of these spots over on this side. Put the hazards on as I do this totally legit maneuver in the parking lot, but that's okay. Let's go over here. And back it up into a spot. I could have just pulled through, but that's the easy way, the cheap way, if you ask me. So we're not going to do that. Let's go ahead and get her, try and get it in between the lines. I've got plenty of space on either side, so at least I'm not going between trucks. But we might as well park out of the way because we don't want people scratching our beautiful Cascadia, nor the custom trailer that we've got along with it. They're expensive pieces of machinery. Prefer it not to be damaged. And I mean, I am not very straight in this parking spot, but that's okay. We're going to just straighten up here a little bit, and we'll be good to go. Of course, I'm being finicky with this because why not, right? I mean, typical Prime Simulation at its best, but there we go. All right, let's get rolling. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I certainly am, and it is great to be back here once again in American Truck Simulator Part 2 today of this long haul series. And actually, we're going to avoid the fuel station there because we fueled up just as we pulled in to this station yesterday evening in terms of game time, or last Saturday in terms of video release time. And I must say a huge thank you to to everyone who enjoyed that video, and also to everyone who is supporting the series thus far and all the interaction and so on. It is absolutely amazing to see, and once again, thank you so much for the support on it. And I am very excited to see where this series goes in the future, because as I mentioned in the previous episode, and of course I'll continue probably to talk about in the episodes to come, there is a lot of room here for some very exciting deliveries of varying lengths in terms of the long haul. But this longest delivery in American Truck Simulator series is something that I'll do on an annual basis, at least as of my plans right now, which again is very exciting for things moving forward, especially as the American Truck Simulator map expands. But I have read a bunch of your comments. Thank you very much again for your input, and I have some interesting topics to talk about here, and one that I think will mainly devour, shall I say, most of our delivery today, which again is pretty long, but we'll get into that in just a few moments at time. But of course, the engine sounds that you're hearing today and across this series, it is static, is going to be from the engine and transmission compilation mod, a fantastic plug-and-play mod that is available on the Steam Workshop. And as always, whenever I'm covering mods or any other extra content for whatever game it may be, specifically here on American Truck Simulator, always have the links down in the description below. Trust me, they are safe links if they are in my description. I make sure of that, and I am not going to try and scam you. There should be nothing that is wrong with the links down in my descriptions, unless if someone takes over the channel. But at that point, I'm going to be honest with you, there are bigger problems at play if the channel gets hijacked, which I don't plan on that ever happening. I do take care of my online safety, which would cause any potential breach, but you know what? The internet is the internet and things can happen, but let's hope that never happens, my friends. But long story short, Steam Workshop mod, and the link for it is down in the description below if you're wondering what is at least the sound for this Freightliner Cascadia 5th Gen. So this delivery is going to be longer than the first look, or shall I say the first episode, part 1 of the series. This is going to be 2 of 5, at least as of the plan right now, unless if something happens along our journey as we go. Fingers crossed it stays the same, or stays the way it has been, and there's no issues. But again, I am Prime Simulation. Something very much could happen in the few episodes here. We are covering many miles, and we never quite know what's going to happen. But we're going to hope for the best. Let's just say that. Part 2 of 5 is a long one here. Obviously, we're going all the way up through New Mexico and even into Colorado. And actually, we got to get over here. There we go. All the way through New Mexico from here in Texas. And I was trying to figure out, as I was planning the route, and let's just go with this way, trying to space it out in ways that are, shall I say, achievable for the sake of a video. I could obviously do a really long video in terms of, well, just all in one shot. It would have been crazy to record it. I don't think I would have survived it, to be honest with you. My voice nor my patience. I think the break is good for both you and me. However, I have heard the request, a few requests, and a lot of interactions on the request for a full compilation once the series is complete. And my friends, I am happy to say that that was kind of in the back pocket, shall I say, in terms of a plan and just seeing how things were going. But I was going to bring that up in a future episode and say, hey, what do you think? Should I put this all into a compilation? All of the different episodes, make it almost like a marathon video. And, well, those words exactly, a marathon video, were commented. Thank you very much, by the way. Took the words right out of my idea books, which is fantastic. I am great. I'm so happy that we're all on the same page. So that will come once the series is finished. That will be a special upload here on the channel. That is for sure. Just a special montage, shall we say. And maybe you're watching the montage video or the full marathon video, and, well, you're listening to this part of it. Well, there you go. A little bit of, I don't know, is that what form of dimension is that? I really don't know, but it's something just only available here on YouTube, I would say. All right, let's talk about a few things. Moving on from the delivery itself, obviously I said this is going to be one of our longer legs, so we've got our time cut out here for us, which is of course exciting, and we're going to have to merge over, so we're going to let, I guess, the trucks go ahead of us here, and hopefully they keep a decent pace. Again, I guess only time will tell. Yeah, won't it? Once again, thank you so much for all the comments on the first look video, and of course the support there. Fantastic to see. And among the comments and different ideas that we'll talk about here in the coming episodes, and potentially even flowing into the ATS Showcase series afterwards, especially for comments that may come into sections 4 and 5 of this delivery, may not be able to touch on everything. One of the biggest things, and one of the main comments that was asked, is my thoughts on the American Truck Simulator map and potential expansions, different cities, and so on. Now, for today's episode, and one that I think will probably take up most of this episode in terms of talking, it's actually not about the US itself, as it appears to be an accident here. Again, another classic American Truck Simulator AI moment on a merge. Yep, saw one in the last episode. We're going to see probably a billion of those more, my friends, as we continue on here. It's actually not about the US in the States itself. It's about the surrounding expansion options for American Truck Simulator and what else could come on there and my thoughts on it. So first of all, many of you will know, and some of you may not, I have made it publicly known that I am Canadian. Now, with that said, Canada and US share the longest international border in the world, if I have gotten my geography correct, which I sure hope I have, given that I am in one of the countries that, well, border that. But we share a very, very long border. That border encompasses many provinces and states, respectively. Very much a close logistics network, or at least was and still is realistically, but I won't get into the whole real world events that are going on right now. Well, let's just say things are a little bit different than they once were, and say what you will about that, or maybe not. Let's not go into that in the comments because I don't really know where this is gonna go, but that's okay. Geographically speaking, and for many respects in terms of, you know, families, even on both sides of the border, the logistics network is crucial, and the businesses and so on, Canada to US, have a really close tie. Now, for American Truck Simulator, SES Software has always said that the reason why they called American Truck Simulator American Truck Simulator is that it is not USA Truck Simulator. It is American Truck Simulator, encompassing, well, what has been seemingly talked about as North America, at very least, versus, I guess, the European counterpart, obviously. That leaves a lot of room for expansion, and the other thing is that SES Software has had some little hints, shall we say, or little teaser elements of maps. Apparently, I've heard through the grapevine, and I have seen a few things up in the Washington state area and the states that border the western section of Canada. Currently, a little bit of, well, teaser areas or little bits of map just kind of poking into Canada as of right now. We're actually going to go, actually no, we're going to stay here because it looks like we are going onto a different highway. We're going to be exiting right, so we'll stay in this lane for now. Be a little patient. It looks like there's a little bit of content moving up already into what would be British Columbia, even potentially into Alberta as well, but I'm assuming once we get you know, the North Dakota DLC, the more prairie provinces will start to come into play with little teaser bits. But it begs the question, and I know a lot of you want to know, what are my thoughts on the expansion of the American Truck Simulator map outside of the USA, and specifically, what provinces will come in first in Canada, assuming that they come in? I'm going to say this now. I have an extremely strong feeling that we will get a Canadian province before the American Truck Simulator map is complete in terms of US states. I'm just going to say that right now. I feel that there is a lot of opportunity with expanding north into Canada in terms of, I guess, geography and businesses alike, and the very close logistics chain that do exist between the two countries. There's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of business, there's a lot of goods that travel across the Canada-US border every single day. And I feel like that's a big important part for SES Software to play into. If they don't, I feel like they're actually missing a bit of an aspect of, and to be honest, even the American economy, because like it or not, a lot of goods go either way. Yes, as a Canadian, I can say there are plenty of American goods, and a lot of our goods obviously go back and forth across the border many times, specifically cars, for example, or even other goods, go back and forth plenty of times before they reach your end destination, whether it's here in North America or even abroad. That logistics network could really play a major part in American Truck Simulator in diversifying, to no surprise, the logistics network itself, but also making it more realistic, more opportunities, and potentially getting more into those company contract-based routes and deliveries where you're running various parts back and forth. And I'm thinking specifically with the automotive. I know it's talked about a lot in the news. Again, we won't go there too much, but we have to look at the logistical standpoint of how the industries work. Parts move across North America as a whole, including Mexico, many times between respective countries, little bits added in different places before they hit the final assembly wherever that plant may be. I'm thinking specifically with the automotive industry here in American Truck Simulator, being able to haul car parts to this other manufacturing facility and car parts to another one, even if it's not a specific cargo in terms of a car part. You know, for example, a certain element in a bumper or a dashboard or something like that. Even if we're not hauling that, we're hauling, say, aluminum to this facility, and then we're going like these casts to another facility, and then we're going the casts or this other product to another facility, and then obviously the chain continues through. I feel like that's a big opportunity. I mean, more specifically when you move eastern across the American map, and of course the Canadian map itself. A lot of automotive industry is more towards the central eastern side, shall we say, of the North American continent. Doesn't mean that items come from various areas. So, anyways, I do believe that we will get a Canadian province, and I personally would love to see that. Now, realistically, what province do we think we'll get first? I think I'd be lying if I said anything other than British Columbia, which is fantastic. I think any Canadian province, doesn't matter what Canadian province it may be, I think British Columbia will be the first one, just because it is obviously very accessible for many individuals of American Truck Simulator, and specifically players that have early map expansions, specifically the ones that go up the coast, the west coast of the American Truck Simulator map. I feel like BC will be just the first go, get another coastal DLC in that sense. Plenty of industries, especially logging and other softwood industries, plenty of wood and other, again, a lot of other industries going through there. Of course, beautiful scenery as well. So in terms of other scenic opportunities, especially with Project Road Trip, I feel like British Columbia would definitely be a, let's say, key province to tap into first for the American Truck Simulator market. British Columbia also opens the door for going up to Alaska as well. That is another key corridor in terms of connecting the North American land states for the U.S. So in that terms, I would say eventually BC would have to come in, regardless of any situation. So I believe it will basically move west to east. It's very similar to what has happened here with American Truck Simulator in terms of the U.S. states. I feel like in terms of the Canada expansions in the different provinces, it will move BC, Alberta, and across. When those will come in, and what key states do they move across to unlock, you know, in terms of the eastern side, I don't know. The interesting thing was SES Software kind of moving up into, well, where they are right now, with the confirmed of South Dakota and then into Illinois as well. Obviously, they're doing Louisiana down on the southeastern end, but again, there's a little pocket getting up to the Great Lakes territory where there's a lot of Canadian province against all of the western provinces to be able to go across. That would be interesting to see how that ties in. Again, lots of resources go back and forth. Will that happen sooner than later? Again, as a Canadian, I'd hope so. But that's just my 2 cents. I think they'll work west to east. Now, let's go south of the USA map and look more at, well, Mexico. What is going to happen there, if anything? This is where I think the waters get a little murky, shall I say? And it's just because of the relations, is probably the best way to put it, as crucial as the cargo markets are between USA and Mexico. There's a lot of trade that obviously goes back and forth. There's no doubt about that. There are trucks that go across the border. However, to what I am aware, a lot more cargo goes across in rail and also by plane and ship as well. This is where maybe the transport or logistics side of American Truck Simulator could get, again, a little bit questionable on the Mexico expansion. I do feel that northern areas of Mexico, the northern regions, could be on the table. But again, it's how, well, it'd be how would the point of entries work, basically, and how would they expand that into American Truck Simulator in a realistic way? Or does SES Software just say, let's just expand into Mexico. We want to complete the full North American experience here and logistics network. We're going to cross over, even if a lot of cargo volume goes by other modes. Again, from what I've found, it seems like some other forms of transportation are genuinely the preference. Not saying that it's the primary. There are trucks that go across the border, but again, just mentioning that. Do they just say, let's connect it anyways, expand down into Mexico, more regions unlock, again, open up to more of the North American market that could be interested in American Truck Simulator, because that is also the underlying factor. It's where is the market for the game to sell? And, of course, the various DLCs. Canadian expansions most likely would do very well. Both from players all around the world, let's be honest. But again, the close economic relationship between Canada and US, generally speaking, would definitely be a benefit for the American Truck Simulator economy in terms of just the job contracts and realism as well. Into Mexico, again, another important area. However, there are some logistic issues to deal with, or maybe to bridge over and make it, for the realism side. Again, is it the end of the day? I don't think it is. I think it's not a big deal when it's all said and done. I think things could be still done going down into Mexico, and probably still will, but I would say Mexico expansions would happen quite late in American Truck Simulator. We don't know the future of the game. What is going to happen when all of the states are filled up in the USA and inevitably much, if not all, of Canada is included in the game as well? Will SES Software take some creative liberty and just move down through and start going even bridging down into South America as well? That's where the big question mark comes in. If I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even know if I'd be alive by the time they hit South America at the rate that they're developing things at this point. It's hard to say. Or at very least, not playing American Truck Simulator. Not saying that I'm going to walk away from this game anytime soon, but at the rate that the US states and inevitably Canada and potentially Mexico are going to be expanded into, will we ever hit South America without a dedicated South American Truck Simulator? I don't know. This is almost the same question that happens on the Euro Truck Simulator side, is where does the boundary stop? How much of quote-unquote Europe has SES Software already covered? A lot of it. But then other areas of the continent, expanding more into the Asian side, or even into the, African side of things. They're getting very close to, they are very close to northern areas into the continent of Africa. Those are all expansion options for ETS2 that, if the game wants to continue to evolve with new expansions and so on, that's honestly the logical step. It honestly is the logical step for ETS2 side to expand that way. So, coming back to American Truck Simulator, can we really say that South America is completely off limits? Or for that matter, Central America and between it? I don't think it's completely off limits. Would it be highly realistic to have a delivery from South America be trucked all the way up through to, let's say, BC, all the way down, say, the west coast of North America? No. I don't think anyone is trucking goods from, let's say, in, Chile? Let's just choose Chile. Stay on the western side. I don't think anyone's driving from Chile all the way up through Central America, up until BC. No one's doing it. And to be honest with you, I don't actually know, and I haven't confirmed this honestly, but this is just my thought. I don't believe it's actually logistically possible. I think when you hit into South America, I don't believe there's actually road network that is viable to get trucks up through all the way. I could be very wrong. Maybe the reason why I am just unaware of this is just because the road, you know, again, it's feasibility and someone would just fly goods or by ship. Goods would be transported that way, besides other trucking regulations as well. Maybe that's just the factor. Maybe there is road networks. Comment down below if there are, or if you want to do the extra research. I'll probably look at this honestly afterwards, so feel free to comment or not. I probably already know the answer by the time you're watching this, but that's a big factor. Where does the boundary stop? Where does the game essentially end in terms of physical expansion? And what would come next for SCS software, if anything? I feel like American Truck Simulator and ATS 2 are now the ride or die games for SCS software and just are going to continue to grow and evolve because of the platform they've built on it. We're seeing this with Project Road Trip in American Truck Simulator, with the expansion of vehicles, which a lot of people are very, very excited for. Of course, there are a few people that are very vocal about, and there will be in the community, people who maybe are against it in the fact that it may not be a traditional trucking element to the game. However, I know a lot of the community has been calling for drivable vehicles, and they are finally getting drivable vehicles. And the fact that they're branded, specifically with the Ford Car Pack coming up here soon, that will unlock Project Road Trip if you want to pick it up. That is a very big factor in the expansion of American Truck Simulator for other purposes other than just trucking. So is going down to South America completely unviable? I wouldn't say it is, because players could basically just pick up, say, base game American Truck Simulator, and maybe as the various regions tend to grow, your starting location of the base game could actually have, obviously, California, and Arizona, Nevada are in there now too, but then maybe there's an area down in South America that has a couple, like one or two areas or regions that are just available in base game, and maybe there's one even up here in Canada that you could start it without having the extra DLCs, and it's just part of it, just for expansion purposes. I think that would be incredibly neat. I think that would really open up American Truck Simulator for obviously a huge market, and maybe that's the direction SCS software is going. But it would also be completely customizable for the individual player. So if you're watching this and saying, well, I would never want to drive down in South America, or if I did, I only want to check out one or two DLCs. Well, that's fine. You may, if one, say, country was part of that general region, you could just basically start a save down in that region, and you would just expand from there, explore different cities, or get different DLCs if you want connected to that. It's the same premise that has happened here in American Truck Simulator, except now just talking about between North America and South America. All within American Truck Simulator, all based on an expansion. It's almost like some of the really large flight simulators that are out there, or even other games alike that have huge, just countless DLCs and expansion packs for you to just nitpick and customize the game to your very liking. And of course, and we gotta pull in for another way station, so we gotta go left here and go over to the left lane so we can pull in, because it's on the left hand side today. Anyways, it would allow for customization, so even if you didn't want to drive down there, you could still play American Truck Simulator in the USA. You could play it in Canada if that's where things go, to no harm. There would be absolutely no harm done. It would not cost you anything extra unless if you wanted to play in those specific regions. I genuinely believe that's where the game could go in the future. Now, this is long term. Again, Am I even playing that game at that point? Are you playing the game at that point? I do not know. To be able to handle a game of that size, obviously computer hardware will continue to evolve over time. I'm not per se concerned with how that will go in terms of performance. The game engine will evolve, computers will evolve. What is seen as a crazy high-end computer right now would be basic in, you know, that at that point most likely, or not even existent, to be honest, on the scale of performance because of how the technological jumps go. It's a really intriguing thing to think about, just really long term, almost in a more abstract sense. Just what could happen? Again, if you ask me today, I would say that American Truck Simulator will evolve to have, at very least, Canada fully fledged in the game. And are you going to go ahead, SUV? No, you're stopping? I mean, admittedly, I went out so I could see if anyone was coming, but you could have just kept rolling through. I wasn't even in your lane yet, but that's okay. AI at its best. I do believe, at very least, it will be North American, long term. U.S. states, Canada starting to come in probably very soon, to be honest with you, especially as there are some teaser elements for British Columbia already. And especially as we move eastward, some of that industrial ties get even closer. So again, Canada and US for American Truck Simulator, I could see being a very, very viable option. Mexico, bit of a question mark, but I think long term would come into the game once the rest of the map is complete and reworks are just occurring, if the game is still on a continual life cycle at that point. And then Central and South America is an absolute just shot in the dark in terms of what I think, but you've heard it. I've already talked about it. I do think if American Truck Simulator will stays as American Truck Simulator, the only version of the game, there is no other game SE Software is focusing on, American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator 2 and their related projects, I do genuinely believe that South America will come one day. That's probably in the absolute far-reach goals of SE Software, if they even have a vision for it. I don't even know if they would. And I wouldn't blame them if they don't, because that is so far down the line, not even in conception, I doubt it. Unless if there's another game that pops out of nowhere. But I don't know. To me, I would almost rather have American Truck Simulator be North and South America, and you get to choose, depending on the save, what particular, well, region you want to drive in. Would it be completely realistic to have, again, a full long haul from South America up to North America? Well, no, and I don't even know if that's logistically possible with roads. But it'd be kind of fun for the sake of game. You probably can't really deny that one for anyone who enjoys these long hauls. That would be a fairly interesting element to have available in the game if you wanted to. Again, would it be realistic? Maybe not. But does everything have to be by the book realistic in a simulation game? I don't believe so. And I am Prime Simulation. It's in the name. I like simulators. I try to be fairly realistic with how I drive. Am I perfect? No. Do I completely sweat about it? No. Am I mindful? Yes. Am I mindful mainly because I am going to get roasted by a bunch of people in the comments? That's an element of it, but it's also just the fact that I enjoy simulators for what they are. Generally speaking, a more relaxing but really fun element of a game that brings some real life to some, well, more carefree enjoyment if you let it go that way. And that's what I like about American Truck Simulator and genuinely how I do things around the channel, is that yes, there is realistic elements, and a lot of you will agree. However, if something happens, we laugh it off and we move on. Is it the end of the day? No, and I don't think it should. So if there was something like and we're gonna get by the traffic here. If there was something like, whoa, truck! Dude! What was I talking about? Realistic traffic? No, hey! International, what? Dude! Okay, well, now I'm not even in the lane. No wonder why they're still merging. Hey! Get, no! Peterbilt! Oh, my word, I gotta get back into this, to the AI. Oh, this game, dude. This game is going to put, oh, man. It's gonna put me over the edge one of these days, you know? Okay, I'm just joking, but still, like, it genuinely is going to give me a headache. A really, really bad headache someday. And I never get headaches, personally. I am very, very fortunate in that sense. I've only ever had a few in my life, and I was incredibly sick. But this game is probably going to get me there one of these days, because... oh, unreal. My headlights are still on because I got completely distracted talking about the expansion of American Truck Simulator. Well, just another element just to throw in there, right? If there isn't... I was talking about being realistic, and the AI just decided to do what is, unfortunately, a little bit too realistic for real life. And I know a lot of you truckers who have agreed on me in the past, or agreed with me in the past on this subject, that's where my brain was going, will say once again, yes, that is unfortunate that that happens in real life, because people think they can just cut out in front of a truck and nothing will happen because they can just hit the brakes. Fun fact, trucks don't stop very quickly. Not unless, well, some of the new ones have pretty good emergency braking, but it's still not compared to a car because, well, wait. Physics are amazing, friends, and you don't want to underestimate the power of mass, especially rolling mass with a little bit of, well, metal and material, other material that slows you down in terms of brakes. We're going to see if we can get by this truck here. Get up the hill. We're making good time by the looks of things. Obviously, a little bit of slower sections. This delivery, again, is going to be significantly longer than the first episode. I will say this, and of course, I've given my whole piece on the Canada and Mexico in future expansion talk there. Comment down below what you think about that whole lot, and this is how I'll wrap that kind of segment up here. Comment down below what you think. What are your thoughts now? I've shared some of mine, different options. Again, a lot of things are open book, I think, as it should be, given what we're talking about. Comment down below what your thoughts are, and maybe I'll revisit in a future stage here in this long haul. Maybe whether that's next episode in part 3, maybe that's part 4, or maybe it's in part 5, or potentially afterwards. Let me know. I'll be interested to know your thoughts on that one. And one Windows prompt later that just decided to say we want to update in the middle of a recording, which is absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Windows, for that. It's probably just because of the length of this delivery. And yes, fun fact, this delivery is, well, to no surprise, as you're finding out right now, a lot longer than the first episode. I will admit, the first episode went a lot faster than I expected, and the main reason for that is just because of all the highway network within it. Obviously, there was, you know, other... there was some starting and stopping and so on, but not to the same degree as what we've had, especially earlier here in today's episode, and that just makes it a little bit more, well, I guess good to know, shall I say, for me moving forward with videos and, of course, the long haul series as it progresses in the future, because, yes, the longest delivery in American Truck Simulator I will probably do on an annual basis to kind of track how the map continues to grow. Does that mean that I will not do other long hauls now with this series? I'm leaving that door open, and I think a lot of you would like to see some other long hauls. They may not be the longest delivery, but they will be significantly longer than normal. And I think this is where we can kind of touch on that here with that. However, this episode is definitely a lot longer, again, the blend of it. So this is one of the longest legs that we'll have. Actually, leg 2 and 3, as far as I know, are going to be the slightly longer ones. 4 is a solid length as well, probably more comparable to the first episode, if my timing, if I remember it correctly. And then the 5th and final leg, the finale, is going to be a little bit more shorter, more of a normal ATS showcase length, shall I say, is probably the best comparison. A more traditional one, unless if something again goes wrong, which it very much could, is going to be more along that line. Now, the reasoning for that is quite simple. I want the finale to have plenty of time for us just to kind of drive, reflect on what we've done, and so on. It will be, of course, there'll be more along the video as well, so it'll be still a decent length, don't get me wrong, but you know, there is a final delivery and so on. I have to do the parking and other elements to it as well, so it will all kind of balance out when it's all said and done. But definitely wanted it just a little bit more on the shorter side, just to wrap up the series really well. And I know a lot of you will probably mainly focus on the first and final episodes. I'm not saying that that could be the case, but just, you know, let's, based off of a little, shall I say, content creator know-how, I'm going to assume that's generally how that's going to go. But I will be happy if I am corrected by that, by you, the community, who I know a lot of you are going to watch all the episodes, and I appreciate you for that. But I have to be realistic and say that a few episodes will probably be hit more, with the final one being that. Again, it's going to be more traditional length, unless if something goes wrong. Something very much could go wrong, and probably will go wrong, but I guess we will have to wait and see. Either way, I will be really interested to know how long the final compilation video that I will do, by the way, will be for this delivery. My thought for it is it will basically encompass the first episode in pretty much entirety, the intro and so on. But then, obviously, once I deliver, it will then move on to where, well, we pick up after my little intro in today's video, and then obviously moving into part 3, 4, and then into 5 will be a similar kind of method to it. It won't be the entire video literally slapped in the timeline. I will kind of trim off the intro and outro for each of the videos respectively, just to kind of continue the delivery along and to make it more of a marathon video that way. Plus, I don't want to literally just re-upload each of the videos as they get rendered out the first time separately. That's kind of, that is really cheap of me to do for you. I don't feel like that is the best value, so I will put some effort into that, don't you worry. But I am very happy to see that people want to actually sit through the full length of that video. You know what? All power to you. I will try to do the same thing, okay? Even though I am living it right now and I am creating it for you, I will try to do the same, and that is going to be an interesting one, my friends, and I will be intrigued to see how that goes over as well, because again, it just paves the way for everything moving forward. It's an intriguing, shall I say, is what the future holds for the Prime Simulation channel. I have a lot of ambitions for it, and we are growing at an incredible rate, and we're starting to see some benefits come forward, or at least I am, in terms of how I do things to make sure that production quality stays high. Obviously, I'm improving in terms of commentary, which is a big help, to be honest with you. And there's just moments of self-reflection and saying what could happen. And doing the long haul series is something that, again, many of you pointed out, not a lot of creators do on, especially, there we go, that's the word, especially American Truck Simulator. Not too many people actually do long-haul content. For whatever reason it may be, it's just not common. And you know what? I kind of want to do more of it. I've always said it, but I want to do more of it. Kind of attack that niche a little bit, while still respecting basically the rest of the series that I enjoy doing, which is a little bit more short. I don't want to say completely concise, because that's not fully the Prime Simulation nature of things, but you know what I mean. A little bit more of our traditional quote-unquote episode in length. Again, we will just have to see what the future holds in terms of 2026 longest haul delivery. Where is it going to be from? midway through 2026 when I inevitably do this again. Is this going to be a similar route? Are we still going to be heading up to Washington State? Are we going to be heading down to the southern end of California? Because we'll be starting up somewhere in the northeast. We do not know. And I guess that just will depend on how the map expansions go. It's hard to say. In terms of American Truck Simulator moving eastward and the lengths of the deliveries, obviously Illinois will be one of the farthest points. So that would be the Illinois down to California is what I'm thinking of a long haul delivery. We basically go along Route 66. That could be kind of interesting. But at the same point, Louisiana is going to be coming out sooner than later. Let's be honest, at this rate. And that kind of throws a little bit of a question mark in it as well. Will that be the next longest route? Boy, why is it 60 miles an hour through here with the AI slowing down like that? Oh my word, that was hard on the brakes too. I didn't realize they were all turning. Gee whiz. That was almost the end of her right there, my friends. Almost had a bit of a major total wreckage. That would have been an entertaining one, to say the least. Oh, what? Alright, sorry, another break. My wheel just disconnected on me and then reconnected and came right back. This is going to be a whole new element, my friends, of this long haul series, what I'm finding out. Anything above, well, let's say 45, 50 minutes of recording time so far. Turns out my computer starts to give a little bit of fuss back and forth, so new challenge unlocked. Let's complete the delivery without having a full meltdown here of the computer. Now, it's not... Again, I maximize what I can do, let's be honest. I've talked about it before with my graphics settings and so on and how the computer is, but I'm not making it spew fire. It's not running to the absolute tilt, but it's running hard. I've had the wheel act up before, but I've done other longer sessions just on my own without recording, and I haven't had apparent issues. This one's a little bit of a newer one. I'll give you that one where, of course, well, the Windows thing is Windows, and maybe this was actually a bit tied to it, just drivers updating in the background because they like to do it. Even if I try to pause things, it then just inevitably does it at some point. You know what? You can't really win, can you? It's just the way it is. Something is always going to happen, no matter what it is. I can try to prepare, I can try to minimize the chances of something going on, and it is just not going to work. There is always going to be something that sets it off in a way that we don't want it to, and I think today is going to be that. So as we move through part 2, or well, I guess we're in part 2, as we finish part 2, and go through into part 3 and 4, and possibly even 5, the whole survival of the Prime Simulation computer is going to be a bigger question, honestly, and maybe will be a good stress test moving forward. Maybe this is what I needed to do just to prove and potentially just test where the weak points sit in the computer besides the standard episodes. I think that could be a fair assessment, you know? This may double as a once a year long haul series that's of course broken up, but potentially just a bit of a testing ground for different forms of content that could stretch over multiple hours. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. This could be a stress test just to make sure that, you know, what I'm doing actually may not actually work that well, because something, whether it's the wheel or the computer itself or it's just something on the sim rig, could just decide to give out and say, nah, we're not doing that, Prime. You're not paying us enough to do that. Which, I mean, I'm not paying my computer anything, but I am paying the companies that make the components enough to, well, have it work to my liking. This could be a whole new element, which, you know what? Bring it on, computer. I dare you, my friend, as I scowl at it in the corner. I dare you to hold up. Maybe I shouldn't have, because for all I know, you may give up before we reach the delivery point, which we're not far away now. We're in Farmington, which is fantastic. I've been now recording for nearly an hour. The fact that I'm still holding up to some degree here in terms of commentary is also another fun challenge. And let me know. Do you want me just to have a few sections where I just, you know, drive without talking at all and it's just the sounds of the game? Maybe chill music in the background at max, maybe not. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. I can do that. It's not maybe my style. And it's not, I don't think, the style from what I've heard of what you've said in comments before. What many of you enjoy about my channel being that it's unique in the commentary sense. Yeah, maybe not perfect all the time, but it's what makes me Prime Simulation. And I completely agree with you, and that's why I do it. But again, I just want to know your thoughts on if you'd be open to that in these long hauls, especially in some of the longer points. Now today we've been fortunate. I've been able to kind of rant away at what, well, my thoughts are on the expansion of American Truck Simulator, and there's some other things as well that we'll talk about coming up soon. And of course, if you have anything else, let me know. If there's other news that comes up, then I will be talking about that, don't you worry. But it always just begs the question. Do you want to hear me not talk once in a while? And I know some of you will say yes, some of you will say no. Let me know. I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Now, as we get closer, obviously, we've been driving for quite some time today. What a great delivery thus far, and I know we're getting very close now to our rest point, which is good because we are going to need it because we've been driving straight for many hours, and probably actually a little longer than we should legally for driving, at least from my knowledge. Probably should have taken a bit of a rest at some other point, but we did not. And I guess that's the way it is. You know what? Maybe that's where the realism kind of goes out the door a little bit. It is, once again, what it is. Try to be as realistic as I can, but again, I am not perfect and I will never pretend to be perfect. Maybe one of that aspect is just the lengths of delivery. But it has been a wonderful delivery. Again, a bit of a Prime rant in there, as many of you have requested. Some other chat, a little bit of AI shenanigan. What else can you expect from a Prime Simulation delivery, especially here in American Truck Simulator, where the possibilities are endless and the AI are unpredictable? I would like to see the AI improved, I'm not gonna lie. Could they be improved in many areas? I would say yes. Would it become too predictable, maybe? Then yes. Are they predictable now? In some odd way, yes. They're predictable that they're gonna do something just odd, because why not? I wish it wasn't the case, my friends. I really wish it wasn't. And for example, with the AI earlier, I'm coming up, they didn't wait for a gap. Well, I was actually basically alongside them and he starts pulling over. It's not ideal. Not ideal to say the least. Does it happen in real life? Yes. And, you know, maybe should I have backed off a little bit and let some go in? But we then saw when I was in that area and having to avoid multiple vehicles, they just kept coming. They didn't stop. I don't think that's overly realistic for the sake of how many would approach it. Do cars cut truckers off? Yes, all the time. Is that maybe the best way for it to be seen? Probably not. We gotta actually turn in here because we gotta go in this way. Interesting. Go across the cattle gate. And we'll pull in here, get some fuel, and go from there. Yeah, I'd like to see the AI, you know, improved on a little bit. I think a lot of you would as well. Is that a top priority? I don't think it is. We'll just have to wait and see. How much fuel did we use today? It was just over half a tank. Yeah, about the same as last episode, I think. But some was already... Actually, no, we used more. Because last episode, I already had... it wasn't a full tank, I don't believe. So, that's the reason why that's the case. But we're going to just pull around here. And we're going to find a place to park up. Now, there's lots of parking up ahead here, which I think maybe we'll take advantage of. So let's cross the street here. And we're going to head up here. And we'll back into a spot. Don't know which spot to choose today. You know what? Let's go over here. There's a few spots down at the end. We'll come over here. Hit the dirt because why not? A little bit of off-roading in the Freightliner is always fine. Healthy for it. We'll go in beside the Peterbilt there. See if I can do this without scratching up the Peterbilt. Start chasing the trailer now. How's this side? It's close, but we're doing okay. It's not perfect, but it's not terrible. Pretty much how I deal with most of the deliveries here. Or, for that matter, reverses. We're not delivering yet. Pretty much how I deal with most of these things. If it's close enough, that's all I care. And there we go. All right, it is time to pull out of here and let's get our wipers going. And this 5th gen Cascadia, it is raining fairly hard actually here in Colorado, as I mentioned, just west of Durango here. It's going to be a wonderful delivery. Well, actually, I should say leg. I'm so used to muscle memory, or I guess vocal memory, used to saying delivery, but in fact, well, yes, we're in one major delivery here across multiple episodes. I must say once again a huge thank you to everyone who is supporting this long haul series. Incredible to see the interaction. I am so happy to see that everyone is happy with the series so far, and I appreciate all the kind comments and also the comments on things to talk about and different discussions along with that, and commenting on what I've also said in the videos. It's fantastic to see the community all engaged with it, and I'm happy to say that these long hauls will continue. Maybe not the longest possible in the game, but they will definitely be more frequent here, I will say that. Longer hauls per se than just the standard ATS showcase delivery lengths, or more common showcase lengths, as I should say. Now, of course, I want to clarify, annually we will be doing this longest delivery series, shall I say, mini-series within a series, as complicated as that may be, just as the map grows. And something that we're going to talk about today, and what I talked about in last episode is an extension of it, that being, we're going to be talking about my thoughts on the American Truck Simulator map here in the USA. What is coming next in my view, and what else can we expect to see in due course here in American Truck Simulator, and just the whole landscape itself. We're actually going to try and get out here, kind of cut in line here. There's lots of traffic here. We want to get on the road, as we do have many miles to cover. So let's talk about this. Last episode, for those who may not have watched it, check it out in the cards above, give you some context to what I'm talking about today. However, in a quick summary, as that video is about an hour, in that video, the primary topic I talked about was my thoughts and just general 2 cents on the American Truck Simulator map, specifically expansion outside of the USA, that being into Canada, into Mexico, and potentially even South America as well. And it was very interesting to see, and we got to go into another way station here, friends. Add it to the counter. Oh, you gotta love it. Anyways, in that episode, I talked about more of the extension outside of the American Truck Simulator map. However, I want to talk about today what I think about here in American Truck Simulator itself in the USA. The 100% guaranteed, I'm going to say it right now, map expansions, albeit in the case of, say, expansion into Canada, that's also pretty much a given language coming out of SES Software's camp, the developer, that being, and of course just some other hints and teasers and so on to go along with it. And my word, this light rotation, did it just let one vehicle through in the last light rotation? I sure hope not, because if so, this is going to be a very long light in wait, but that's okay, that's fine. Alright, so as we pull into the way station here, I just want to lay down a few, shall I say, basics or the ground rules for, well, really what's going to be talked about with the states and my thoughts moving forward here. So first of all, let's just mention this. As of right now, we have 3 confirmed DLCs for American Truck Simulator that are in development. Those are Louisiana, Illinois, and South Dakota. Moving forward then, everything I talk about in this video, of course, and what we're going to talk about here in just a few moments' time, keep that in mind. Those are the 3 confirmed, and really, to be honest, some of the different areas of possible expansion moving forward. So let's start on the southern side, down by Louisiana. Obviously Louisiana, then Illinois, and then South Dakota from any of the knowledge that I have, and of course kind of the release order that those states were confirmed. That is what we can expect to see in terms of a release order for those 3 states: Louisiana, Illinois, and then South Dakota. Now, there's a few different routes here across American Truck Simulator, or across the US map, I should say, that American Truck Simulator can follow. That's where my brain is wanting to go with that phrasing. Down in Louisiana, obviously being on the southern coast, as I hit that truck because I'm Prime Simulation and I hit the barrier as well. What a fantastic start to this long haul series, and that one is a classic Prime Simulation blunder. That's not even on the AI, unlike the last episodes. Oh, it's been a long day, my friends, and I'm doing a long haul, which this could get very comedic very quickly. So let's buckle in here and hope for the best on multiple fronts. There are many ways that the American Truck Simulator map can expand, and different routes, no pun intended, that can be taken across the USA in terms of expansion. So, for the 5th time in me saying this, starting down in Louisiana, my first impression is that, or what maybe I would like to see, and I think many of you would agree, I would be okay if, when it's all said and done, we move, once Louisiana, Illinois, and South Dakota are released. Some may not like this, but I'm going to say it. I would be perfectly happy if STS Software decided to completely beeline it across the southern coast of the U.S., going through Mississippi, going into Georgia and Alabama. Well, I guess Mississippi, Alabama, then Georgia, and then hitting Florida. That, my friends, would be my ideal kind of beeline. Go directly east. Here's my reasoning for that. I would love to get a little bit sooner the ability for us to go coast to coast. I think that would be really, really cool. Not to mention, obviously, the very unique landscape and architecture that comes across in that region, and honestly differs as you go across the region. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of you can agree, but comment down below what your thoughts on that are. That would be kind of like my ideal, let's get the map really rolling here, get across to the coast, be able to do that, and then work north from there. Kind of set a bottom line, almost set basically well, quite literally the bottom limit, and then just start filling in northern from there. Now, another way that could happen, and I'm going to be honest once again and say that this is probably more likely, the northern section of the current ATS map, or kind of the more north central section of the USA, I feel like that is going to be filled in now. Obviously, SES Software has done a number of pushes to the east, and specifically with Illinois, a little bit of an outlier on where it goes in terms of order. I think what's more likely to happen now is that after South Dakota, the third of the confirmed DLCs currently, I think it's safe to say that North Dakota will then be confirmed afterwards. I think that into Minnesota and possibly even Wisconsin, and just finish off that more quote-unquote northern section, the northeastern section of the current ATS map. I think that is a strong possibility on where SES Software is going with it. But then, at the same point, we could get a little bit of a mix of, well, everything, to be honest, and have basically, shall I say, a three-frontal attack in terms of the direction that the map DLCs are going, and moreover, a alternating approach to the different regions that get an expansion, that being south, more central, and then northern. I think what's more likely is that we potentially could see, you know, into Tennessee, that area get a little bit of an expansion sooner than later as well. It's a hard thing to say, and honestly, to be honest with you, I can't say obviously which way SES Software is going. I have no idea where they're going with it. It's just that everything I say is my 2 cents and what I think could be coming. And again, feel free to comment below what your thoughts are. In summary, I think my ideal in terms of just getting across somewhere would be just beeline across the south. Get to Florida. I'd love to see some of the different industries over there, and of course just being able to get a clear line coast to coast. I think that would be huge for the game. The more, well, currently more sensible approach, given just looking at the ATS map, the northern section needs a little bit of fill-in. It has been, well, kind of put out a sequence a little bit because of Illinois. Again, SES Software is trying to finish off Route 66, Project Road Trip, a bunch of different features coming in with that Illinois is the reasoning for, or Route 66 is the primary reason for Illinois from all of my knowledge or understanding. So it's just one of those things where I think the northern areas, again, North Dakota, Minnesota, and with possibly even Wisconsin, will come sooner than later. But again, that central section as well. Tennessee, that would push us pretty far east as well because of the shape of the state itself. It's honestly an intriguing question, and SES software could go fairly anywhere. And to be honest, as I said before, I'll say it once again in this long summary as these videos typically have. I honestly believe it's going to be realistically a little bit of both. SES software is probably going to continue pushing a little bit on the south, try and fill in a little bit more in the northern areas, but move somewhere central as well, kind of putting the jigsaw pieces together. I think realistically that's what the current trend of the ATS map expansion has been to date. In another way to look at it, if you're looking at the map of the USA, think of the different state columns, shall I say. North to south, put a ruler over it. Generally speaking, SES software has been moving over one column and then filling up, or moving over one column and then filling up the entire column itself. So one row over column filled. That's generally what's been happening. Not saying that it's gone, perfectly like that, and especially as we continue moving east, those grids don't really line up at all. So it doesn't really work like that. Again, one of those things where we're just gonna have to wait and see. And the hole in the rock, funny, cool. It's one of those things where, again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I don't really know. I honestly don't know, but I have a feeling it's going to be a little mix of everything to keep a little bit of change as well, so it's not just filling in one area with similar landscape as well. We get a little bit of diversification. I think that honestly is a good approach. I'm not going to complain. Any new map DLC is great in my eyes, but I think having a little bit of a blend of all worlds and different landscapes, again, I think that's a good shout for what is potentially to come. Now we have discovered Moab. I could have sworn I've been here before, but I guess not. Maybe not in this save. I don't know. Camper! Oh my word. I thought he was going straight across, or at least into my lane more. Oh, the AI. First, I hit him early on in the video, like not even a few minutes in, just because classic Prime Simulation moment. And then another one pulls out in front of me. I mean, I can't win. I really can't win. And as some of you have rightfully pointed out, I may genuinely need therapy after this series is done with dealing with the AI. Because, well, to say that it's stressful or infuriating at times is a bit of an understatement, my friends. A bit of an understatement. So with all that, well, classic Prime Simulation, a little bit of a ranty rumble, or rumble, I guess my voice sometimes rumbles as well, depending on how low I go. I don't know why I make myself laugh like that, but that's okay. I've got to keep myself occupied along with you. Even though some of these rants can go on a little bit or whatever, and my whole explanation on what's potentially coming next, because really it's a complete open book. Let's look way into the future. Even farther than, well, the few states that I've talked about and the potential options for moving forward. I'm mainly talking about state bundles. Not meaning sale bundles or anything like that in the Steam store page for American Truck Simulator. I am talking straight up bundled states, one DLC. That being, let's take New England as an example. I sure hope by the time we hit the Northeast, we are getting a New England. Oh, I gotta go a little bit slower around this corner. Lots of roll on the truck. I sure hope we get a New England DLC. I am just saying that right now. Because so help me if I have to buy every individual DLC, well, every individual state up up in New England, I think many ATS players would not be pleased, and that is indeed an understatement. Imagine having to purchase, and this may age terribly by the way, imagine having to purchase an individual Rhode Island DLC. Just throwing it out there. Pretty much any of the northeastern states get small enough that, I mean, we are already talking about North and South Dakota. Why in the world are they not put together? Just make the Dakotas DLC. I feel like for the amount of major cities in those two regions, that would have worked just fine. And I think a lot of the community would have been very happy. Imagine if you had to purchase Rhode Island, Maryland, just to name a few. I just feel like that would be, if people didn't riot, straight up riot, I don't know what would happen. I don't know what else would happen if that was the case, because I'm gonna be honest with you, unless if it was only a couple dollars, I don't think I'd even buy it. Like, if you look at the whole grand scheme of American Truck Simulator, unless if you're just trying to get every single DLC, if they continue the trend of individual state by state, in some of the New England states, or at very least northeastern states, or even just eastern states for that matter, I probably wouldn't bother with a few of them. I just wouldn't. Unless if there was a very specific industry, I wouldn't buy them. Now, to be honest with you, I would probably, like, all right, so let's put it this way. If it was like that, individual state by state, meaning Prime, if I was doing this on my own time, I would never, or most likely not, unless if I lived there, I would not buy individual states in northeastern section, for the most part. Now, as I am Prime Simulation, and I make content for you, I would still be buying those DLCs regardless. Would I buy them reluctantly? In some ways, yes. I'm going to be honest right now, and that's the way it is. It's kind of cold hard truth. I buy them because I know people want to see it, potentially see why it's worth whatever dollar amount it could be for especially something like Rhode Island. Yeah, I have a feeling that will never come to fruition. I have a feeling it will be some form of, we'll start to get basically what happens in ETS 2, where there's, generally speaking, like the Scandinavia DLC has multiple countries in it. I have a feeling we'll start to get them here in American Truck Simulator, which will be fantastic. But worst comes to worst, individual DLCs, I think it would be hard pressed for me to recommend to you to purchase the DLC with your own money. Because also keep in mind, yes, if I had to buy them, I would as Prime Simulation. As just Prime, on regular time, probably not. Probably not at all. Unless if there was some absolutely compelling way, or something of value within that DLC that's in, oh, I have to have that. For the sheer size of the DLC, I don't think it'd be worth it. Nor for the frequency of actually going back there. Unless you are from, say, Rhode Island, Maryland, whatever the northeastern state may be, if it were individual and quite small. That is completely up to you, and you may have a different opinion on this than me. But I'm just saying in general. As we move forward, I sure hope, and SDS Software, if you're out there and you're not planning this already, please take this into consideration. I think it's only fair for those who have purchased every single state leading up to some of the let's say, northeastern states that are quite small generally, I think it is only fair on those individuals and the dedicated community members that have put out a whole lot of money up until this point to start getting some bundles. Bundles of multiple states in one singular DLC released at the same time. Say what you want. I think it's, at the end of the day, it just needs to come down to what's fair on the community. And I don't think releasing individual states is a sustainable way to do it for too much longer for many people. A lot of the community is extremely dedicated and will buy pretty much anything that the game puts out. And all credit to SES Software, a lot of free content does get released for ATS, ETS2 religiously through the various significant updates that happen. But again, especially here in ATS, the state-by-state nature of these DLC launches, I think a lot of people are starting to say, well, hopefully there's something of significant value, or there's a lot of different cities, lots of different towns, or different roads, or different industries that come in, and you gotta hope that there's that value, because if not, I'm just gonna have to wait till it comes on sale. I'm not picking it up for months on end before it starts to go on some form of significant discount, because, well, what actual value does it get? I've seen many people comment on even a DLC like Iowa, which I do believe is a very good state. Very high quality, still, well, with the newest DLC, and still it's incredible quality throughout it. There's different industries, really unique things within it. But again, I've seen a lot of people as excited as the crowd was. There's some people saying, well, I'm going to have to wait for it to come on sale, because at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a drive-through state, as many states realistically are, or will be as the map continues. And just going to have to wait on sale. And that's a personal opinion. That's perfectly fine. But I can see that that trend could continue. I can 100% see it. That trend will just continue as the states get smaller if it continues on the state-by-state nature. So again, moving forward, as we start to fill out the American Truck Simulator map, what do I want to see? I want to see state bundles. I think a lot of you would agree. It's just the most realistic way to continue and ultimately finish off the United States section of American Truck Simulator. I just don't see it being any other way personally. But this all could be, this whole, well, little bit of a podcasty rant could all just go up in flames in a few years' time, or many years' times, probably at this point, when we are hitting the northeastern section and there is still individual DLCs being released, and the whole thing is talking about, can't believe we're paying X amount of money for this state when we got Texas for this. Yeah, things change over time. Dollar value changes. We all know that, especially in how things are going economically across the world right now in uncertainty. But I don't think the sheer size of Texas and it being the most expensive DLC to date, as far as I recall, the sheer size of it versus, say, well, even, I don't know, let's just say even Vermont, like any of really the remaining states, if you're paying the same price for Texas as you are New York State, Vermont, anything like that, I don't know. Again, this could age really badly, but I feel like that's kind of starting to get a little into rip-off territory, unless if there is something of extreme value. We'll have to see. We will have to see, my friends. It's the only way about it. I obviously can't predict what's going to come up. I sure wish I could. But the US states is honestly a big question mark. There's so many different ways that they could fill in so many different preferred ways by community members. Comment down below what you think, and I think I'll leave that down. So we're making pretty decent time, I would say, so far in today's leg of the delivery. Just past 1 o'clock in-game time. And actually, I've got to get to the right lane because I will be... is he... Oh, there's a red light here. So we're going to just try and go in behind. Oh, I did not prep this very well. Sorry, folks. Causing a traffic jam. Let's just pull forward a little bit more, but it's okay. People... See, I would be infuriated if I was behind a truck that did this in real life. But for the pain and agony, both, well, emotionally primarily, that the AI has put me through, I think I deserve a little bit of payback. So they can sit there and grumble all they want about what I've done here in this maneuver and how unrealistic it is. And honestly, you can do it as well. But I'm going to sit here out of my own, well, just a little bit of sympathy for myself and just a little bit of revenge, because sweet, sweet revenge generally isn't sweet, but this today, it sure is on the AI. First I run into them, now I block them. I think I'm back onto more even terms with them for now until another AI decides to do something incredibly out there, which is a great possibility. It is the AI after all. They're artificial, that's for sure, but they are not intelligent by any means. We are heading towards Salt Lake City. We are heading north, so we're going to take this exit here, get my foot unstuck from my accelerator pedal. There we go, as we just barely make the corner. You gotta love it. Sometimes I, well, just little quick side note here. My G29 pedals sometimes, just sometimes get caught on, you know, socks or shoes, whatever. It's the top edge of it, just gets stuck in the tread. It is what it is. I do wear, you know, it depends on, I guess, what I'm, depends on what I feel like, honestly, in the sim rig, but I generally have something, kind of, I never run barefoot because they're metal pedals, kind of uncomfortable, to be honest. Always have something on my feet. Sometimes they get caught. Not saying that that's an excuse for half of my crashes, because it's not, but some of them have actually, in the past, been genuinely stuck. My foot has gotten caught, and I tried to switch over, and it didn't work. You live and you learn, friends. You live and you learn. Sometimes the problem... I mean, honestly, I should, at some point, invert my pedals. That being, put them more realistic in how most vehicles have them anchored, more towards the top, not the bottom. The problem is the way they are currently. You push down, sometimes you'll get, as I said, top lip will get stuck in, like, say, tread of a shoe or whatever, and try to pop your foot up and it gets caught. Friction is lovely and you need it, but at many times it can be annoying, and this is one of those cases, but that's okay. That's a little side note, little tiny little thing. I could just pick my foot up more, but I'm sitting in a simulator. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm not lazy like that. Not saying that it's a bad thing or anything like that, but it is a relaxing thing to do. We're going to change subject because I'm just going to dig myself a massive hole, so that's okay. And because this is, well, the internet, I'm just going to be careful with this. We're going to get over here, so then we're running in the middle lane. So then people going on and off, the AI that being, don't hopefully smash into me or decide to brake when they change lanes like that car did. They hit the brake and then move over for whatever odd reason it may be. I really just don't feel like having to deal with that, and we're moving along well anyway, so we're going to take advantage of that. Now, I must say the one really nice thing about these long haul series, besides, well, the long haul itself and being able to talk to you and honestly ramble on about a bunch of things longer than a standard ATS showcase, is that we're really getting to see the transitions between the different aged states. And specifically the states or regions that have had little bits of rework or are just brand new versus the ones that are not. And well, we're running through here in Utah, obviously slightly older now. Kind of surprising because I remember when the Utah DLC released. It's getting older now, and honestly going from Texas and up through, you really start to see that difference. And obviously New Mexico was a big one. That's going to be hitting a rework soon, I can only assume. Parts of Route 66, obviously that route will be done with the Route 66 rework project that is being worked on right now by SES Software. But it really is just that situation of amazing how time flies and how the quality truly has improved. It surprises me every time to see where American Truck Simulator has come from and where it's going to. Obviously, we don't know specifically where it's going to, but in terms of quality, it's pretty insane to see. If you would have told me back in 2016, into 2017, that, you know, well, one, I'd be doing this, and two, having American Truck Simulator, the quality that it is, with the lighting system that it is, the continual evolution of the engine and some of the graphic settings and so on, I probably would have called you a little crazy. And do I have to come in again? I do, so we gotta get all the way over here. Get it all the way over and hit the brakes. Go behind this truck. Oh my word. A beautiful maneuver, as that may be. Oh yes, port of entry. Classic. I guess we're gonna be heading out of Utah very soon. Which makes sense. Let's see. Make sure I get the green light on my little advisor. That's what I like to see. W pass. Okay, now I gotta try and get out of here, and most trucks are just bypassing. Okay, well, that's, I guess, the way it is. Interesting. Actually, can one of you real-life truckers, or at least for those who may actually be more aware of this than I am, I want to know what are the rules and regulations about, you know, having to just bypass the way station, getting off the highway like that, or does that actually just not happen? If you're allowed to bypass a way station, can you just stay on the highway? Or do you have to actually pull through and go through kind of like the roll-through lane or whatever that some of the way stations have? Obviously, if you get called into a way station, that's normal. But I'd like to know your perspective on it, and also what are some of the rules that you encounter on the road when it comes to bypass versus actually full-stop inspection. Or at least wait. I guess there's a few different versions of that, isn't there? There's just straight up bypass, and then there's way, and then there's vehicle inspections as well. So feel free to comment below if you wish. I'd honestly be intrigued just to see your perspective on it, more than just, you know, looking it up on the internet. I want to see some real life examples and, well, for that matter, real life experiences, if you don't mind. That would be fantastic to see and read. I love learning. I am not perfect, and you can tell that by the pronunciation of half of the things I say in my videos, or just the information and general recall of things. I'm not perfect, and I'm never going to try to be, but I always love to hear the real life, well, stories or different opinions and different experiences that many of you have. We all come from different backgrounds, different walks of life and different careers and so on. However, we have a common thing here. Specifically, those watching this video, you love American Truck Simulator, or you at least like it, and you must somewhat put up with my commentary and my channel as well. So in that, I thank you. But we have that in common. In the same time, it's really interesting to kind of see some of the extra information and different points of view on various topics. I love to see it. That's what makes a community strong. Having a bunch of people from different walks of life coming together in a shared interest or region. Obviously for us, this community is revolving around American Truck Simulator and other simulation games alike, primarily trucking or other driving ones. That's a really cool bit. And moving forward, obviously I've talked about it before in other episodes, and I'll continue to talk about it, and especially once things fully release. There's more things coming for the community, more things that are just going to heighten the engagement, heighten the ability for everyone to interact, and also just bring the community closer in terms of, well, many areas. Just that's my goal. And we're going into Idaho. How fun. That's my goal at the end of the day. Obviously, I enjoy doing all of the content creation. I play American Truck Simulator because I love the game. I play Euro Truck Simulator 2 because I love the game. I play other simulation games because I love simulation gaming. I love creating content for you. Part of it is for, I love entertaining people. I love being able to share information and share what I love doing with you, and obviously you all enjoy what I do as well. But creating this community, this really online family, is a big part. And I thank you for everyone who has been devoted to it thus far, and hopefully we'll see it through in many years to come as the community continues to grow and expand. I know a lot of you are quite devoted and have been devoted for many years now through various ups and downs, various days, like even today. Don't think my commentary is as strong today, but that's okay. That's also just that's just me being self-critical as well. It happens. It's also been a long day. You know what? That's a consequence of being a part-time content creator. Things happen in real life or outside of it that you just have to go with it. But I still want to make sure this content goes out and be authentic as possible. Does it mean that some things suffer? Yeah. Most of the time it's by commentary because that's what takes the most brain power. But I still enjoy doing it. And it's a nice distraction as well. So as long as I'm not, overly sick, or, I can at least form words semi-decently in that day without just getting frustrated at myself, I'm probably going to make a video because it truly is enjoyable. And another one for the tally, friends. Way station number whatever. Oh my word. For those watching eventually in the full movie, shall I say, of the long haul series for 2025, have fun keeping track of all the way stations, or for those watching the original release of this video, have fun. Have fun, because it's they're starting to add up quick, friends. I guess it makes sense. Every new state we go, at very least into, we're going to get a way station. If not, go a few times in it, because classic American Truck Simulator logic. I feel like once per state. Again, maybe add that to the comment on the whole way station bypass versus not thing. Passing between states, that makes sense, right? Most states going into a state, you'd have to weigh your truck. That to me just makes logistical sense in terms of state maintenance and so on roads and wear and all that good stuff. I feel like multiple times in the state, though, I don't know. I guess it just, to me, it seems excessive, but if it's not based off of the license plate of the truck and it's just based off of trucks that roll by, or if it's not based off of a transponder or anything, I understand why it would happen multiple times, because, there is no guarantee that, you know, every truck is rolling through the state in entirety. So they want to make sure that they're catching people at various points in the logistics network. But still, I just feel like, especially here in American Truck Simulator, you can really hit the way stations a lot within the state. Maybe that's realistic, maybe it's not. Again, comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts. Now we are getting very close. I could just tell by the clock on our dash that oh, that was a weird zoom in. Apologize. There we go. About 5:30 in-game time. We are getting very, very close to the rest station for tonight. It's been another lovely day to drive across here in American Truck Simulator, covering quite a bit of ground. And at least we know that we could probably do 1,200 kilometers in this Freightliner Cascadia 5th Gen on a single tank of diesel, given that most of the deliveries we've been doing recently, or at least this episode and last episode, have been about the 600 mile mark, and we chew through about half a tank of fuel, maybe just a little bit more. So anywhere 1,100 miles, that would be probably what's capable of doing. But for me, I am always going to err on the side of caution, specifically with these videos, and just refuel every time we show up at the rest station if it's available, and go from there. I'd rather not take the chance with running out of fuel, or if we have a detour, having to, well, take the detour and then hopefully have a gas station along the way. I'd rather not risk it. So we're going to just always err on the side of caution. Plus, we're pulling into these facilities anyways. We might as well just refuel to save ourselves the little bit of a hassle. Just make sure the guarantee is there. Now, I know, of course, all these extra little charges, well, little smaller charges, shall I say, on the card. I don't know. Maybe better, maybe not. I guess it really doesn't matter. It all adds up to the same, other than prices of fuel between the different states. I guess maybe if you knew what the fuel prices were across the different states and you wanted to try and get smart with it, you'd maybe skip over a state if you're able to and refuel in another state where it's cheaper. Here in American Truck Simulator, unfortunately, I can't look ahead at the different fuel prices, and I think they're fairly consistent, actually, across the board. So that's what we're going with. It's just kind of continual refueling, which honestly I think just works out for the better. So let's go ahead and pull onto the access road. An actual road, or just access road for the fuel station? Oh, it looks like an actual... maybe it's just an access road? Yeah, it's just an access road. Loops around this facility. Yeah. Alright, well, let's pull in here to the gas station. Choose a point. We'll go here. We'll shut off the truck. And let's see. Let's chat. Come on, Prime. You've been playing this game for how long? You know which button to hit. Let's see how much fuel we have used today. Starting from a full tank and going through, we have used 94 gallons. So a little bit less than previous episode. Makes sense considering we went less distance. So let's go ahead and pull ahead, and we'll choose a spot to park the truck. There we go. Again, long day, friends. My voice is starting to give up on me in terms of just being able to speak, and my brain is also starting to say, yeah, Prime, you're done talking, bud, and thinking about what you're gonna say, because you're starting to combine random words together just because. Alright, let's get rolling. Welcome everyone to part 4, and thank you all so much for the support here on the long haul series thus far. Part 4 of 5. As you can tell, we are getting very close to the end here, and yes, this episode and part 5 are going to be shorter than what we've experienced so far. The reason for that is, well, fairly simple, just because of how the episodes have broken up in terms of the rest stops and stations available and how I chose to do it, but also this. And as we move forward into especially the final episode, I wanted to make sure that everything with that episode would run nice and smoothly, and of course be able to kind of give a bit of a summary along with it. Plus, we're going to be doing the delivery as well, so there'll be a few extra bits in it that take some time. That's kind of part of the logistics of it for the sake of videos, but that's okay. We're still covering significant ground today. Yes, not the same as what we've done in previous episodes, but once again, that is okay. We will survive. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I certainly am, and it is great to be back here once again in ATS. Admittedly, I wanted to do some other episodes in between these long haul videos. I mentioned that actually in early episodes of the long haul. However, some things have come up, and unfortunately I've been unable to do so, at least until this point. Hopefully, if you're watching this upon video release, hopefully you're enjoying your Wednesday. Second of all, hopefully this week we should have some other content coming very soon, which would be fantastic. Again, just a matter of logistics and availability for myself, and making sure that, well, whenever I do a video recording, I genuinely have the energy to do it, because I don't want to just try and fake it. There's something that you will notice, and, well, if I'm not enjoying it, what's the point of putting it out? And maybe I shouldn't say enjoying it, more so than if I'm just trying to fake keep energy up and talking about various things. It's really hard to do when, again, certain things happen. So it's okay. We're here now. Been prioritizing this long haul series, which I think is valid. And again, we will go from there. So we're heading up to Yakima today. Obviously going to be primarily highway as we get back onto the highway here in Twin Falls. And again, we'll continue across some of the, well, less reworked areas, or some of the more older DLCs of American Truck Simulator now, which is kind of crazy to say. And again, we're going to be still seeing some of that transition point between the different DLCs, and honestly, as we continue up into Washington State, kind of seeing the more older areas and standards that SES Software used to run and map DLCs, which has been kind of neat. Going across from Texas all the way up through. Obviously, Texas by no means is a new DLC anymore, but it is still a high-quality one, to say the least. I think next year's delivery for the long haul series will be very intriguing to see, because depending on what rework projects come between here and then, there is going to be probably a pretty big difference, and we've actually got to get over here. It looks like there's either an accident or a chase that concluded, and we're going to give the AI plenty of room today because we all know their antics. There we go. Now hopefully no one's coming up on the right hand side. They are, but they're going to have to wait. There's going to be probably some significant map differences from where it's going. I'm assuming next year we'll be heading more from the northeastern end of the map and then going to the southwest. So in that, I'm sure we'll be crossing through a number of states that, well, haven't been touched for quite some time, and then some brand new ones as well. But hey, I don't know. Maybe the longest route will be a different route. One that I maybe am not expecting so far, but given the DLCs that are coming out, at least supposedly coming out for American Truck Simulator sooner than later, I can only assume that we'll be going more northeast to southwest, or vice versa, in the coming year. So today's episode, I wanted to talk about, well, something quite significant actually, but one that has a lot of different options, and again, just some of my thoughts on American Truck Simulator overall, specifically what other either features or specifically vehicles could come to the game. This is something that a lot of you like to know and hear my thoughts on with the game, and of course, comment down below along the way on your thoughts and different perspectives on even some of the topics I'm talking about. I love to see the interaction there, and thank you once again for all the interaction so far and all the thoughts and information as well. in the videos so far. It has been incredible to see. I truly do appreciate it. But today, I wanted to focus on some of the different vehicles and American Truck Simulator overall and what it could evolve into. And I'm going to try and focus mainly on the logistics side or some of the other or heavier equipment side of American Truck Simulator. Whether they're either realistic features or trucks or so on, or maybe even some just abstract features related that I'd like to see. I'm going to just do a bit of a quick summary here. Obviously, Project Road Trip is a feature confirmed. Yes, we don't specifically know all of the details about Project Road Trip yet and what the feature itself will bring, other than we know Ford vehicles are going to be coming into the game, cars, SUVs, or at least the Bronco, and then obviously F-150s and so on. Everything looks very much like more of a scenic opportunity there. However, there have been a little bit of teaser information here and there, or at least ideas, I know, coming out of SES Software's camp, saying that there could be something logistics related with them as well, which would be fantastic. So with that put aside, with Project Road Trip and what American Truck Simulator will encompass with personal vehicles and map exploration and so on, filling a gap that some of you have rightly been pointed out because of games like The Crew being basically killed off. That's honestly an intriguing market for SCS Software to touch into with the game that's already established. So again, that's one side. I want to focus more on the trucking side, or at least heavier logistics side of the game. I've talked before about the different trucks and possibilities for reworks, new models, whatever. That's been talked about before, but I want to talk about some of the different types of trucks that I would like to see added to American Truck Simulator over time. I'm going to start off here. Some form of rigid truck. A box truck, for example, or something along those lines. I know that is in development for ATS 2. That has been teased on streams and so on from SES Software. They are working on rigid trucks for ATS 2. I think that would be a great addition for American Truck Simulator as well. Some form of solid frame box truck I think would be really, really neat. Along with that, potentially into different vans. I'm not going to lie. I am so far a little bit surprised that in the Ford Vehicle Pack DLC for the Project Road Trip module or feature of American Truck Simulator, I'm surprised Ford Transit vans were not included in that. Everything coming from that camp in terms of the DLC and even earlier communication about Project Road Trip, transit vans or just vans in general have not been included. I feel like that could have been a big opportunity to really help ease the logistics network into the game. I think that would have been, or ease that into a logistics network blend. I think between the trucks and a transit van, for example, that could have been pretty significant. Why that wasn't done? I don't know. Is Project Road Trip truly going to be more scenic? It very well might be. At the rate things are looking at and what's being included. But again, things can evolve over time. So back to the box trucks and vans, I feel like bringing in those variants would be very, very neat. Again, just adding an extra layer to the economy for American Truck Simulator. Whether that's smaller commercial deliveries, because again, box trucks and rigid frame trucks are extremely common here in North America as well. Whether that's just smaller scale logistics, well, slightly smaller scale logistic deliveries to just various stores or whatever, or even bringing in something, or even opening the door for different mod developers and so on. But I'm even thinking more of a personal transport. If you're bringing in some of the other personal vehicles and so on, with American Truck Simulator is how things are developing, why can't there be little missions almost for, you create a moving company. Now that's a bit more of an you know, an abstract idea, but it's one that's logistics related. Using the American Truck Simulator map and some of the residential buildings that are around the area in the maps anyways, or even commercial buildings, have a moving company where you haul personal goods to and from a certain area, or just between two locations. That could be a really cool thing to do. And again, my idea was the, you know, cargo vans and box trucks or rigid trucks, whatever you want to call them. My idea with that is that it would provide a natural stepping stone to grow your logistics company in American Truck Simulator. That being, starting with, whether it's a transit van, whether it's, you know, an F-150, for example, was a trailer, doing some hotshot trucking that way. Starting with something along those lines, eventually getting enough money to upgrade to a box truck. You then do some deliveries to the box truck, and then you can afford to maybe buy a used truck, a transport truck, sorry. Once you get into the transport truck, then you grow from there. You can keep the other vehicles in your fleet, diversify the cargoes that's being hauled around, build a logistics company basically from the ground up, a more natural way than trying to get financing with a bank, which is American Truck Simulator. You could just kind of do some jobs for someone, and then all of a sudden, oh, bank will give you $400,000 in a loan, with, well, according to the game, nothing really behind it. And then you go out, either buy a brand new truck or a used truck, and just send it from there. Obviously, that's how the logistics and gameplay network is working in American Truck Simulator so far. But I feel like having a box truck or van would just bridge that starter gap, not to mention just add a really neat layer to the in-game economy without really having to add too many different cargo types, to be honest. A standard, you know, a rigid truck, a box truck can be anything from a dry van to a refrigerated truck, no problem. It could also be a flatbed. That would be very interesting as well. Well, for example, hauling lumber or different construction supplies from one of the home store, for example, basically the Home Depot in-game variant, hauling stuff from a hardware store to a job site without doing it on a full-blown transport, which again, short flatbeds and transport trucks do exist at hardware stores. A lot of them do have something like that, but a lot of them also just have rigid flatbed trucks too. That's very common. That would be extremely neat to have. And the flatbed route also goes into another thing that I would love to see. That being tow trucks. That would be very neat, in my opinion. Now, of course, that could bridge across different size and scale, and maybe this looks more like a mission situation, similar to almost like a moving situation where having a moving company or different, you know, mission deliveries, you got to do different challenges. I think maybe a tow truck could be very interesting, even just one or two in the game. Having a tow truck and doing towing missions could be very neat. There are random road events along the side of the road, but there are also different construction zones and stuff like that. STS software could add different cargo market jobs technically. And our truck is struggling to go up the hill here. Could add different cargo market jobs that essentially make us drive to a particular point on a road or highway, whatever it may be, pick up, quote unquote, the vehicle that has broken down and tow it to a service station. Again, could be kind of neat. Different idea there. And actually circling back to the rigid trucks or box trucks, basically. Probably along the same line and in significance, I would say the box trucks, rigid trucks, plus dump trucks or bulk haulers would be really, really cool. I would say the box trucks and dump trucks, and then into like a tow truck, for example, would be kind of like my priority list in terms of, or preference priority list, if that makes any sense, on what I'd like to see. Dump trucks would be a really cool addition as well, and I think would honestly come in with a rigid truck edition anyways. You're gonna get up to speed there, car? I think you are. You should be fine. I think that would be, again, just a really interesting addition to have. It'd be fairly easy to add, in my view, to the logistics network. Again, it'd be hauling the same goods as what some of the other kind of bulk haulers in the game that exist already would bring in. Again, I think it could be really quite neat. I don't know. That's just my opinion on that one. I think dump trucks, box trucks could be a really simple addition to the game. Maybe they're in development. I do not know. Maybe ATS 2 is going to be the trial of box trucks and rigid trucks, and then that will bridge across eventually here to American Truck Simulator. I don't know. Comment down below what you think about that one. I would honestly love just to see it. Well, and I guess in that sense, some of the other, you know, we do have like bulk trailers here in American Truck Simulator for our trucks itself, but some of the options aren't, well, fantastic for ownable, you know, bulk hauler trailers. Maybe part of it is just the branding side of it. Most of the, well, as far as I know, any of those are not branded trailers, other than say like a Load King grain hopper trailer. That's about that. It'd be nice to really see some different branded, you know, trailers come in for American Truck Simulator as well. That's another front. And again, just diversifying what we can haul. And that's the biggest thing with the different trucking side, with the dump trucks, box trucks. Yes, some of the cargo may be similar, but my goal would be to, or my wish with it, is just to diversify the type of truck that you're driving. Diversify, again, the market. It's not just 18-wheeler, it's also, you know, other kind of more medium-duty trucks as well. Could be pretty interesting to see. Different brands as well technically could then enter the market to a certain degree. But at the same time, especially with dump trucks and box trucks, there are a lot of common brands here in American Truck Simulator already, or established brands, I should say, that have those variants of the trucks that basically you drive right now. It's pretty common. Freightliner, International, Volvo definitely has dump trucks. You know, Kenworth, Peterbilt, they all have them. They all exist. I feel like, yes, of course, there's licensing for the different styles of trucks, but they're working on with the same team, I would assume, at least corporately. They're working with Kenworth trucks. They're working, well, I guess it'd be PACCAR Group. They're working with Daimler Group, respectively. They're working, you know, they're working across the board with the main North American trucking, you know, companies and different organizations that would be dealing with the licensing. How hard is a dump truck and box trailer to ask for? That's my 2 cents. Once again, comment down below what you think on that one. I just think those would be really neat to see. And then, yes, going back to the more, well, tow truck or flatbed tow truck related logistics deliveries, I feel like that could be just an extension off of the more rigid truck edition to American Truck Simulator. Again, would that be in just the general cargo, you know, quote-unquote cargo network of getting these different jobs? Oh, and we're actually okay to bypass because we have a green light. So, which is fantastic. I will happily continue just through here and bypass the scale. Appreciate that. And we gotta be careful because there is significantly twisty roads through here in this area. No, I feel like the would it be in the standard cargo or logistics network? I don't know. That probably could be that would be an easy avenue to bring that tow truck feature into and do different contracts for. Is it the most realistic? Probably not. Would there need to be new scenarios or different missions? Arguably, yes. I don't know. There's a lot of different options there. Options that honestly leave American Truck Simulator in a really great position because there can be a lot done in the future. It's just a matter of time and honestly a matter of the market to see where things go. And to me, the question is, would something like rigid trucks, would something like tow trucks, would something like a dump truck be a free update to the game? Or would it be something like Project Road Trip where you're purchasing basically that extension or module to the game itself? I feel like if it was up to me, I would say that specifically the box trailers, or the box trucks, sorry, and the dump trucks should just be an American Truck Simulator standard. I don't feel like there's any need for an extension or anything like that. I feel like those trucks could just simply integrate into the in-game economy currently. Go to a lot of the same areas. We have, gravel pits. We have different quarries and so on for the sake of the dump trucks. We have, well, pretty much every logistics option possible for whether it's a flatbed, rigid truck, or it's a box truck of some sort. There's simply an easy addition there, in my view. Of course, there's technical behind, but I do honestly believe those two should, if they're going to come in, would make the most sense just to be included in the game anyways. Whether people want to use them or not, maybe that's up to debate, but I think they would be extremely popular, and of course they would add a more realistic layer to the whole progression of building your logistics company. In terms of tow trucks, my kind of other idea of something potentially that could come to the game, I feel like that would be something similar to Project Road Trip. Simply being that I feel like if STS Software is going to implement it, ever, they would want to build more of a, module around it. What are you doing with the tow truck and having a bunch more dynamic, system revolving around it more than just a standard in-game economy related and just adding different cargo types. I feel like that's the route they would go with that, so I would expect that one to be a custom DLC like Project Road Trip. Probably just a one-off thing where it's a tow truck, whatever. If you get it, you get the tow trucks, and maybe over time they update the tow trucks in whoever owns that DLC. You just get the either new tow trucks, or you get the free updates, obviously, like a lot of the DLCs occur right now. I think that's where STS Software could move with it. Now, on the other side, obviously in ETS 2 right now, there's a big, a big talk about, well, basically the equivalent to Project Road Trip over there, which is coaches, project coaches. In ETS 2, instead of getting ownable vehicles and so on, or branded ownable vehicles, they are getting coach buses for hauling passengers around. Is that something over time that we could expect to come to American Truck Simulator? I honestly believe it could if it's received very well over in ETS 2. I could potentially see there being more, or I could potentially see it being warranted over here in American Truck Simulator as well. Bringing passenger transport could be a cool thing to do. Now, the other option for here in American Truck Simulator is, do you leave coach buses over in Europe, and do you just leverage the Project Road Trip feature to do something like taxis, or almost like an Uber situation, or whatever your transport option may be? And now we've got to come into a way station. That one is maybe up in the air. And I want to know your thoughts on that one. Would you want to see buses come into American Truck Simulator? Or would you prefer just to have specialized ownable vehicles, basically, and different quote-unquote missions for that? That would be an interesting one to see, but obviously that is currently developed for ETS2, the buses, or the coaches. So it's a little bit more realistic to say that that could come over to American Truck Simulator. Obviously would take a lot of work. And also, I am not 100% sure how many bus terminals or stations there are currently in the American Truck Simulator map. And if many of you have ever noticed it, I can't really recall any. I'm trying to think in some of the newer reworked areas or the newer maps if there's any form of terminal anywhere more passenger related, because I know they exist across the ETS2 map in many areas, because this was always, well, initially planned for ETS2, but then kind of put on the little bit of a back burner, at least temporarily until now. So comment down below if you've ever noticed that in American Truck Simulator, because that could be a very big indicator on if coaches could start to be integrated into the American Truck Simulator economy, or if that is going to be exclusively ETS2. The other thing is I do not know if SE Software has ever talked about the relation between coaches and American Truck Simulator, specifically with the launch of the ETS2 DLC, or the confirmation of it at very least. I don't know if they mentioned anything about American Truck Simulator. I don't recall it, and I don't know if in select streams if they've been asked if American Truck Simulator would ever have it. Again, if you've heard about it, comment down below. I'd love to hear, well, any form of information you have on it. All my wonderful detectives out there, you all are amazing. You find out the details in ways that I don't even know how, but you do. Most of them is just, most of you just pay attention, which honestly is a very smart thing to do. I obviously can't always keep up with all of the SES software streams and news, believe it or not. I've got a lot going on, my friends, but I do appreciate those who try and keep up to date. There's a lot of information there, and especially all the streams. I do appreciate your efforts, and I always appreciate when people like to fill me in as well. So there you go. That's a few of my main thoughts on different types of logistics that can come. Obviously, there's a lot more as well. Actually, just thinking about it, again, rigid box trucks. There's also rigid tanker trucks, so fuel deliveries to job sites, whatever. They need diesel or whatever fuel they may be using. Why can't there be a rigid truck tanker that, you know, from propane to other fuels? It's so common. There's already a logistics network for it here in ATS. Again, that's where I've said it before in this video. I'll say it again, and I'll probably say it again a lot more in the future. I think box trucks, rigid trucks in general, but box flatbed tanker is a genuine idea for expansion of American Truck Simulator in the logistics realm. That would probably be received extremely well. Well, we're heading up into Yakima here, which is fantastic. It's been quite a while since I've been over in this area, I must say. Gonna head up across and over. We're heading into the city itself, to a rest station or service center there. And we're gonna have to head to the right here. I think I can actually just stay in this lane for now. I will have to get over it though, because we're turning right just up ahead. We're gonna let the truck go. There we go. It's been quite some time. Transport. He's turning. Okay. Swinging out into the lane, even though, I mean, I guess there was the barrier there, but still, jeez. AI at it again. It'll never fail. So with all this video said, there's a lot for American Truck Simulator to potentially consider in terms of expansion, that being SEO software. But there's a lot of options. Some of them, you know, are maybe more feasible than others. Again, I'll say this once more and that's it. Rigid trucks, I feel, is the most, or solid frame trucks are the most simple addition to American Truck Simulator in terms of an expansion of the logistics network without having to completely overhaul the logistics network. Right? It's just what the models are. Like something like that. Why couldn't we have a little reefer truck like that? I think it would be really neat. I honestly do. So let's pull in here. Do I have to pull in this side? No, I have to go. Oh, actually, I can't go in here. I'm probably good on fuel. I'll leave fuel for now. We're going to just pull right through. And then we'll pull up around and head into one of the rest spots. You know what? Let's just pull up through here. Nice simple spot. Pull right in. We'll be able to pull right out in the next episode. All right, let's get on the road. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I certainly am. We're here in part 5. We have made it, my friends. Thank you to everyone who has been supporting the long haul series so far. I know there's been some great love around this series as well. Love to see all the different interaction. As I mentioned in the previous episodes, this has been a really fun challenge and something that, you know what, we will definitely do again in future years. As I've said before, this is something that I will continue and other long hauls will come around. Maybe not the longest possible delivery here in ATS, but other long hauls alike will be more frequent. Don't you worry about that. But as we start off here into part 5, yes, the map is definitely a lot shorter. Our delivery is significantly shorter, but that is purposeful. The reason for that is that I wanted to make sure this final episode could just be nice and smooth, maybe not have the risk of things going wrong, even though that is very much still a possibility because 1, I am Prime Simulation, and 2, we are playing American Truck Simulator. The final bit of that is that, you know what, I wanted to take a little bit more of a reflective route. No pun intended, for the sake of today's delivery. But first, we are going to talk about one extra thing. Very recently, SEO Software put out a blog post on the Louisiana DLC for American Truck Simulator, an upcoming DLC for the game. And that was on all the different bridges, and in fact, just giving off some of the different screenshots, or showing off, I should say, some of the different screenshots of the different types of bridges that will be included within the DLC. As always, the screenshots look amazing. I did a community post on that, so you can check that out, a few of the screenshots there, and of course the link for that blog post is in the community post, so feel free, if you're watching this video upon release, be a lot easier to check the community post tab for that. And if you're watching this well in the future, just simply search up in your favorite search engine Louisiana DLC bridges. You'll probably find the SEO Software blog post related to it. Special architectural bridges, other just more, shall I say, basic concrete construction bridges. There's a lot of different bridges in Louisiana, of course, covering different terrain as well. There's a lot. There's a lot there to unpack. And I really do think SEO Software, as always, is doing a fantastic job with the development of them and the screenshots in general and the DLC overall. The bridges look amazing, and they are going to be a critical part, obviously, for us to get around, and will be really neat to travel across. But now, let's take a look back at this delivery so far, and just kind of see, well, 1, what has gone on, 2, how has it gone, and 3, what I look forward to moving forward. So starting off with what has gone on. Well, a lot. Yes, a lot of miles were covered. We've been driving over now. This is part 5, so plenty of content and different things that have happened. Plenty of way stations along the way, and a number of AI shenanigans. And that is definitely something that is, well, the prevalent feature of this long haul series is just simply what in the world was I going to basically cause in each of the episodes. Either I cause or the AI cause. And I will say, I think I'm okay. I don't think I need therapy, although I joked about it in previous episodes with the AI, saying that I may genuinely need therapy with this because they are going to drive me nuts. They do drive me crazy, don't get me wrong about that one, but I think we're going to survive. I think I will be okay without it. But we haven't finished today's episode, so maybe things could change around pretty quick here. We never know, but there were definitely some, well, shall I say, interesting things that happened with the AI, with them pulling out or just not doing things oddly, or just doing things simply oddly. Yeah. The classic AI shenanigan that we are used to here in American Truck Simulator and ATS 2, honestly, if you're a fan of that game. The AI is definitely artificial and they are not intelligent. That is pretty much what the definition of that one is. And yeah, a lot of you agree the AI in many situations across these videos have, well, been quite entertaining, but obviously have caused a bit of a disruption. Again, it is what it is. Can't really complain though, because overall, this has been a fantastic experience. And kind of what I feel about it, honestly, I can't believe I didn't do it earlier, is what I'm going to say. This long haul series is really revitalized something that I've always wanted to do more of here on the channel, and specifically in American Truck Simulator as well. The nature of what I do here on YouTube really does, I don't want to say inhibit, but what I really enjoy doing with all the showcases generally make the most sense by having them in a, well, more scaled down video, almost more similar to this video's length overall. A significant length, but not a long haul delivery, being able to start and finish a delivery kind of all in one cohesive unit. That being a video, generally speaking, in terms of performance of the video, does better to some degree, but honestly, just in terms of showcasing a different item and so on, it just gets things rolling through. I can then cover more different content. That's the style I do enjoy doing. However, I've always wanted to really get back into some longer haul deliveries. For those who have been around for a long time here on the channel, you may remember when I used to do a longer contract and then split it up across multiple episodes, like I did here with the long haul series way back in the Prime Logistics days. I stopped doing that when ATS showcases really started taking off and that whole situation happened, and then since, I've just kind of been in this continual loop of ATS showcases and other content, and again, just making sure things are wrapped up all together. Admittedly, I have changed a lot since the Prime Logistics days of doing some slightly longer deliveries, and compared to now, commentary, it's still hit and miss, let's be honest. I don't think I will ever be perfect, and I'm not going to try and become this scripted, version of myself. The commentary is going to be what it is, and I know a lot of you appreciate it for what it is. That AI just nearly had a major wreck with the truck coming out. Another shenanigan at its best. And we're going to have to pull into the way station, so we're just going to pass one over. It's all fine. I guess we'll just go over here. Add another one to the list, my friends. I've changed a lot, long story short. The quality of the videos have changed a lot as well. So the comparison is pretty big, and honestly, in the gap of time between doing the old style and what is now, it really just fits better in the channel, having the longer haul content now than in the past. Things generally can move along better, especially if there are longer episodes, like a few of the legs here in this series for the longest delivery of 2025. Things were able to progress well. They were fairly long episodes, but it's okay. That is what the goal of it is, and who knows, maybe in the future they will get even longer. I do not know. Honestly, some of the longest episodes, you could tell by what happened in the videos, it genuinely put my computer to the test. Now, that one, the one episode that actually had a significant amount of issues, mainly was just an unfortunately timed Windows update, from what I can tell, and it just wreaked havoc on the rest of the system. That happens. Windows is Windows. But it genuinely does, you know, I pushed my equipment not hard in terms of it being worn out, but in terms of performance and what's perceivable for you and of course me, a fairly close line of where it really starts to go over the edge on performance versus staying stable. So that is where, if something else gets thrown into the mix, things happen, and the longer episodes just have a higher likelihood of something going on with updates, with headroom and so on, because again, with all the many years now of running ATS showcases and other content, having them more around the half-hour mark or under for most of the videos, everything has been pretty much fine-tuned for that. Meaning that episodes like this should run very smoothly in terms of performance of recording and making sure that the content, the game, and everything, all my equipment is fine. But after that, there's a little bit of an asterisk in terms of if it's actually going to work. And we saw that in some episodes. No. Well, actually, it was only one. So I will take that any day of the week. And honestly, it has been a good stress test of the system and some of the settings and a couple extra tests that I have done for potentially some different things moving forward. So what can we expect moving forward then? More long hauls, as I've talked about many times in this series overall, with the longest delivery of 2025. We're going to be doing more long hauls. I'm going to try to do some more long hauls, either mixed in straight up with ATS showcases. So you may start seeing some longer episodes of ATS showcases standard in a more standard format. There will be probably some more dedicated long haul videos itself, specialty ones. Maybe they're only like a 1 or 2 part, or like a 2-part maybe series if it is split up, or maybe just simply one long episode. Those will happen more frequently as well. I know many of you were excited to see especially the first episode and the other episodes as well, because not too many people on YouTube and so on do longer form deliveries in videos. They just don't. If there are longer deliveries, they're in live streams, and it's hit and miss on in terms of what's going on with that. And just in general, most creators don't, for the simple sake, it's pretty demanding. It's pretty demanding to try and, you know, talk and drive and do all this stuff for longer deliveries consistently. And that's a big thing. Will these long hauls be overly consistent on the channel? Probably not. Is anything consistent on this channel? I don't know. Maybe the only thing that's consistent is that things are inconsistent. I'm trying to improve on that, don't get me wrong, but in some ways that's kind of the unique Prime Simulation charm of you never quite know what you're going to get. You have an idea when in theory I should upload. In theory. But to be honest with you, I don't even know half the time of when I'm actually going to upload. It's just based off of, well, availability and what else is going on. So yes, moving forward, more long hauls will happen. Don't you worry about that. And other content, longer form content, is around the corner as well. Keep an eye out for more announcements and discussions about that to come. there's a lot of things. I talk about it all the time. There genuinely are a number of exciting things just being finalized. Now, yes, my timelines are sometimes a bit longer than I'd like. Or, to be realistic, are longer than I'd like. But again, it is what it is. This is not my full-time job. And I know many of you, and I just got a Steam achievement for driving through some of the tunnels here in Seattle. So that's kind of cool. And actually, I got to get over here because we're heading up towards Vancouver, technically. Got in the wrong lane. Almost went the wrong way. That would have that would have been the cherry on top of this series. Just decided to go the complete wrong direction. Keep an eye out for different announcements to come is what I'm going to say. And yeah, there's a lot of different content. My timelines are longer than I'd like. This is not my full-time job. Again, I've said it before. I'll say it again. It is what it is. But I do appreciate everyone who's being patient with me and just in general enjoys the content that I put out because, well, I enjoy what I put out. And honestly, that is what matters the most. I want to put out content that I enjoy because I want to enjoy making it, of course, and putting it out. It's not just a, okay, here we go, I got to hit this quota, so on. That's where also I work the balance between having like a dedicated schedule and so on. It kind of sounds weird, but in some ways, not having a schedule keeps things more, well, authentic and a little bit less of a routine-based, almost deliverable of these videos. It's a fine balance in my mind because as much as I want to have a schedule where it's a little bit more consistent for everyone to know, okay, I am definitely doing this and this is a timeline that you should expect to meet, there could and probably would be times, if that was the case, that I am simply just going to be cranking out a video for the sake of trying to get it out in time, more so than for the quality of the video or for what I'm actually doing in it, if I'm enjoying it. That is the definite balance challenge of content creation in general. And for me, I'm again a little bit more on that, a little bit more of a relaxed sense, shall I say, in terms of upload schedule to try and keep things as authentic as possible. So to summarize, moving forward, long hauls are here to stay and will become part of a mix of some sort in terms of videos. I won't basically shy away from them is what I'm trying to say. In terms of ATS showcase deliveries, other map expansions and so on, may start doing even just some general longer deliveries that are technically classed as a long haul. I'll see. We're just gonna... This was a bit of an experiment, to be honest with you. And this series has done well. I appreciate everyone who, once again, has been supporting it from day one. And yes, 2026 is going to be very interesting to see where the longest delivery actually goes. I know a number of you have commented your thoughts on it, and I tend to agree that we're probably going to be going along the Route 66 corridor, given the, well, this is going to be into 2026, probably halfway through the year. By then, we probably have certain DLCs that would allow us to do so in other reworks. We got to go into another way station. And we're not too far away from Bellingham now either, which is just, once again, another cherry added to the top. Genuine question. How many people have been keeping count of the way stations? And a better question, and more of a follow-up, how many way stations have I actually had to stop at here in this long haul series? This may be a better question for those watching the big old movie that has been requested and I will be making and was kind of part of my original plan, but I was happy to see that, well, everyone basically wanted a marathon video anyways, so I'm going to be doing that. So if you're watching the marathon video version of this episode, hi and thank you, and also probably easier for you to do the tally in that episode than across the other ones. But again, maybe you've been keeping a note. I would appreciate to see the stats. Well, we are getting very, very close, and it's almost a weird sense of relief that we're getting closer to this delivery and going to be concluding this long haul series. I want to be able to go back to some of the other areas around the map, and part of the experimentation with the long haul series was kind of doing it more on a, well, not having it pre-recorded, so more of a standard ATS showcase video where I don't pre-record things very far in advance and then release it accordingly. This whole series has been, well, the video recorded either on the day or the day before the actual video release. This has meant that if there were new topics, which unfortunately there's been a little bit of a quiet point in the news from SES Software, generally speaking, across this series launch, but that's okay. If there were news, I could talk about it, and it also gave me the opportunity to respond to your comments and so on. I like that format of it. Moving forward into next year and other long haul series comment down below if you want that to continue, or if you wouldn't mind just, you know, hearing me discuss some of these different topics and then address them in later videos or whatever, but just have it all pre-recorded and then one day after another have a long haul series released. The pros and cons of that is, well, one, the series you get to see beginning to end a lot faster if I pre-record them all and then release them in quick succession. But then the downside of that is that there's less interaction within the videos itself. I want to know, quick succession or more interaction? Comment down below what you think about that one. I can't believe it. We're taking our final exit into Bellingham, and we will be making our delivery. Unbelievable. We've covered a lot of time. Yeah, I mean, the delivery was supposed to be, 45 hours in game and a couple thousand miles, so pretty significant to say the least. And it's surreal that we're just around the corner now from seeing it complete. It's honestly, as I said, a little surreal. I think it's good. 2025, the longest haul, has been a long delivery. Don't get me wrong on that one. 2026 is going to be very interesting. And moving forward, imagine when we can go coast to coast. That, my friends, will be a very exciting day here at American Truck Simulator and here for this series. So we got to reverse into this spot, and of course, to finish off this series, the game does what I always love from it and give me a blind side reverse, to which I have to go past that van. Yeah, I do. It's all the way back there. Well, the box truck. So let's see if I can get this thing to rotate around. It's going to be a good challenge, I would say. I apologize for the mouse movements right now, if that becomes a bit of a headache. The tight squeeze. Oh! Wait, what? Did I just hit the wall? Wait, hold on. There's a dumpster here? What? Did I hit that? The trailer just popped. Okay, hold on. I'll replay that in editing. Make extra work for myself, because why not? What happened? Was the dumpster always there? I felt like everything was going smooth. I know I was going out wide, but... did I actually just hit that dumpster into the spot? So, hey there, this is Editing Prime. Looking back through the footage, I realized, and I'll put it on screen, when we pulled in, there was only one dumpster along the edge. And as far as I know, and unfortunately the camera angle doesn't really show it that well, the trailer was, yes, getting closer to the dumpster on the far side, but it wasn't ever to the point where it would drag it. And in fact, the same dumpster that we saw when I pulled in the clip is still against the fence. So the only thing I can think of is this is a bit of a glitch in the map, and the trailer just got very close or potentially touched the dumpster, and it duplicated it, pushing the trailer completely sideways and, well, putting an extra dumpster in our way. I've never had this happen before, and you will be able to tell that by the continued confusion that ensues for the next few moments. So yeah, fun times. How did I drag it sideways is my question, because now I hit that. Well, I told you this was gonna end in potential chaos. Okay, so did I just hit that prop? I don't genuinely know. I can't move it. So where was that thing? I do not know. Did it just... I must have hit it with the back of my trailer. That's the only thing I can explain. But how it managed to get where it did is beyond me. Well, a classic Prime Simulation reverse at the end, but I felt like I was doing okay. Yes, it was going wide, I think, but I don't think I should have clipped that dumpster that bad. I don't know. Editing will tell you that much, but that's okay. 2025 long haul series is in the books. Once again, thank you all so much for the support on this series. I have loved to see the interaction. I'd love to see the positivity. And 2026 will be really cool for the longest delivery possible here in ATS. I am quite sure of it. But here in 2025 has been really good as well. And it's been really nice to do something different. And again, more of these longer style videos will become more frequent here on the Prime Simulation channel. So be sure to keep an eye out for these longer videos in the weeks, months, and years to come. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.